BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here in China, of all places, China #1. But we are ready to get going then for the 100% League here tonight then, round 13. Only 2 rounds remain after this one, and we have got a potential title fight on the cards here tonight, and that is between the current championship leader then Gordo in the McLaren. He is currently in the pit lane on the hard compound tyres, so that's interesting stuff indeed for the champion, potentially elect, that is. And Equaz then in P2, he is 69 giggity points behind. But we will have to wait and see how it's going to unfold here in China tonight. We could crown the first champion then of all divisions this season here tonight in China then for Gordo. We will have to wait and see how it unfolds then for the McLaren driver then, and for Equaz in the Alfa Romeo. But that'll be untold, or told, it will be told, it will be untold until the checkered flag then at the end of 56 laps around here. So looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds. And a bit gloomy out on circuit here in qualifying. 16 minutes left of the session, and we've started nice and early then before, so I can go to bed a bit earlier than 2 minutes earlier than to bed for me tonight, which is great stuff indeed. But I'm looking forward to an exciting race. Of course, this is previewing the Chinese Grand Prix that is coming up this weekend. And of course, coming up for gold on Sunday, silver on Monday, and bronze on Tuesday. So looking forward to seeing how it's going to unfold here. Of course, a return to China then after a very long sabbatical then in real life Formula 1, and of course in ALR history as well. We've raced quite a few times around here, but not since it got knocked off the calendar a long while ago now, it feels. ALR Wednesday is back, says Moon, and then of course he's in the Aston Martin tonight, then looking forward to seeing how it unfolds for the Aston Martins as well. We've got hello from Gordo then, of course, as I was just saying, for Gordo then champion elect then potentially then for Gordo in the McLaren. I completely missed it as well, then I didn't notice it until this morning when I was just about to head to work, and I saw that the gap was 69 points, so that is that then. But so far it is, well, so far it's been a fantastic season then between all 20 drivers, to be fair, but also between Gordo and Equaz then, of course, challenging now for the championship here tonight then in China, of all places as well. They're not a traditional championship crowning circuit, but we will wait and see how it's going to do, how it's going to look then at the end of the 56 laps here tonight. Then 15 minutes left of the qualifying before we get ourselves into the race itself. We'll find out then. Kaz said hello and good luck then in the Red Bull tonight. Then there's Kaz, I believe, reserving a place of Vintage, who unfortunately has been called away here tonight for work. So he is unfortunately not going to be able to take part in. I think it's the first race he's missed of the I think this might be the first race he's missed of the whole season in bronze and 100% combined. So unfortunately, he's not taking part here tonight. Then we'll see what he can do then in the well, hopefully in the next couple of races or so, but we'll have to find out. But there we go then. So good luck then to the drivers and 11 people watching. Then good luck to you guys watching as well. Then hopefully you can well, hopefully you don't mind my eyes don't burn your eyes, and you don't mind what's going on then in the commentary box. Then 33-0 for Gino on the medium compound tires to set ourselves on our way. Martin coming through the spoon corners, as Sick as Muck is also doing the same. We've got quite a lot of spoons around this circuit then tonight, as Moomin then just warming up his tyres as well. Then I think we've got Sam Lee Green then on his first lap, and he is reserving in place of Lucas Percy then as the New Cam then on the intermediate compound tyres. Not sure it's raining heavily enough for that just yet then. Into the 32.9s then for Sam Lee Green, then takes away pole position then from Jenna just about. Then Equaz though on that championship charge, then trying to hold on to the title then if he can into P1 then with the 32.1. Great stuff indeed from Equaz. Of course he needs to try and get maximum points here tonight then if he wants to keep the title alive then into Silverstone, which is next week, which is the penultimate round of the season as well. Then good stuff indeed. Coupe into P4 then, as we've got a lot of drivers then coming across the line. Then Kydell up into P4 then, displacing the Williams car down to 32.2 for Kydell. Good stuff indeed. The yellow flags up there. I think coming back into the pit lane and getting out of the way, as we've got Kamara Racer up the order there at 32.9 then from the Alpine driver. Both the Alpines looking strong in their first outing here in qualifying. Evening all, says Serious Rushman, and Gordo has got this, is the echoing statement then from the Ferrari driver. Then he is supporting the McLaren driver tonight then, which is quite odd, but there we go. Then Martin then up into P8 then a 33.9 sorry I should say, into the top 8 as it stands. And good stuff indeed. Jay Hings unfortunately has invalidated his lap, same for Sick as Muck. Then they're coming back to the pit lane now as well. Moomin is on track, coming down. Where is he coming down to? He's coming down to the beginning of sector 3. Then this is where the entry to the last spoon of the circuit is. as we go flying through there very nicely. It's very easy to use the car, leave the back end and through there, trying to get the power down too early. And we might see some drivers then having a few incidents through there, spinning the car then on the traction, but we'll have to find out. We'll wait and see then. I think we've got KD further behind, so we'll go back to Moomin. Moomin then going through the hairpin now to end off the lap here. We've got a Alfa Romeo, I think, going pretty slowly there. We need to make sure that Alfa Romeo gets out of the way in time, as he has got out of the way, thankfully, into the pit lane. Then he goes, but here comes Moomin Ninja up to the line. What can he do? It's a 34-4. I can't quite see what's going on my screen, to be honest, because my mic's in the way. So there we go. They'll sort that out. Yeah, there we are. Good stuff indeed. Then Jay Hings in coming back to the pit lane. Here comes KD. There's a car flying off into the pit lane behind us, but KD up into P3 then for the other Alfa Romeo. Then a 32.641 then puts himself 5/10 or half a second behind his teammate, who is currently on pole position. As it stands, 12 or 11 minutes left of the session here as well. Then earlobe says Serious Mushroom as well. Good stuff indeed. Yes, the earlobe is out if you haven't noticed. Yeah, like I said, it just adds to your viewing pleasure, doesn't it? Well, it doesn't really. So yeah, I might just turn the camera off completely. To be fair, it's just there's an ugly thing on the screen. Yeah, fingers crossed we can get ourselves through the race then without any issues. And like I said, a champion to be crowned tonight then in the form of Gordo. In the McLaren, I should say that he is currently 69. No jokes intended there. 69 points ahead then of Equaz, who is in P2 in the standings. And like I said, Equaz needs to maximise his points here tonight then in China to carry on the title fight then into another week. Then, of course, there is 50 points, well, actually 52 points as far as Snap on offer after this round. So if Equaz can keep himself in that range before the end of the checkered flag, by the checkered flag here tonight, then he can carry on the title charge then for another round at least. But it depends what Gordo can do as well. Then Gordo's on the hard compound tyres, so and he's invalidated his lap time. So there we are. Then maybe he's not taking the championship too seriously then for the McLaren driver at the moment, that is. Fingers crossed he can get himself a lap time on the board. Then Martin back out on circuit, then going through the final screen curve. Not very keen on ERS. Then is the Ferrari. Then he's already got down to 5% as we get ourselves onto the back straight. That's going to inhibit or prohibit his lap time in the latter stage. Then here comes Sam Green. He's coming through the final corner, almost sliding through the final corner. Then is the AlphaTauri, then up to the line for AlphaTauri, and unfortunately could not improve. I think that slide really put him off then in that phase. Then Kiki then into P2. He is quite a bit away then from Equaz as it stands then, almost over 3/10 of a second for the Mercedes driver. Last week's winner in Qatar. Looking forward to seeing what he can do here tonight. Then moving up into P4. Great lap time indeed then from the Aston Martin. And hopefully he sorted out his internet connection, because that was what was causing him the issues then in the bronze race, I believe, last night. It was a long time ago. I've slept since then, and I can't remember what's going on at all. But there we are. Then Gordo is back out on track as well. Once again, he's staying out on those hard compound tyres. I think doing a bit of a testing phase as he's sliding through turns 2 and into turn 3 as well. Then, but there we go. Then. Good stuff indeed. Sick as much back out on the lap. We'll come back to him. I think we've got Sam. No, it's not Sam Big Green. It's Jinner, who is a bit further along. Then he's invalidated his time, unfortunately, for the Mercedes driver in P7 as it stands. But he will have to come back to the pit lane to put on a new set of tyres, I think, and go again. We've got Sick as much, like I said, coming through sector 2 now as well in the Aston Martin. Then trying to negotiate this part of the circuit where we saw Jinner invalidated, but he's got himself into the onto the grey stuff, kept himself on the grey stuff, not crossed the white line too much, which is just about what you need for the track limits, that said. But now into sector 3, then into the next spoon of the not penultimate corner, sorry, it's the third last corner of the circuit, but it's quite a challenging corner indeed. Then like I said earlier on, then I think we might see a few then have a few issues through that corner. And of course coming up as well in gold, silver and bronze in the next few days or so as well in ALR. There's going to be plenty of Chinese action then coming up on your screens very soon. But Sick as Muck then looking to get his first time on the board. Let's see what the Aston Martin driver can do as he comes round the final corner this time, then up to the line. DRS of course is enabled. There's 2 DRS zones around this circuit from final turn towards turn 1. As he puts himself up into P11, then yellow flags, then away. Alpine just getting out of the way. Puts himself up into P12 now, which says Gordo has done a time on those hard compound tyres. They're 33.6 then for the championship elect driver as well. Then good stuff indeed. Jay Hings back out on circuit, just starting off another lap. Then he's looking to get himself his first time on the board, and we've got Don of the Dons, who is coming through the hairpin now as well. And the Rebel, of course, reserving for vintage here tonight. Well, like I said, I think once your internet's back and sorted, then moving, then I think that will be a bit of a distant thing of the past as Don of the Dons goes up into P14 because I don't think they were aware where you were, to be fair, on that. I see the footage, and it was teleportation was the word that springs to mind. Up into P2 goes Vessia, then looking to fight then for the pole position, but Kiki has taken it away. Then a 31.7 then from the Mercedes driver up into pole position, then it displaces Ekwaz, who is on a lap now, but coming through into sector 2. New Zealand Cam improves to a P2, a 31.9 then for the AlphaTauri driver. Great stuff indeed, then a great improvement as well in that AlphaTauri. Great stuff from the from all three drivers who just set a time. Then Vessia, New Zealand Cam and Kiki, then they have displaced Ekwaz from that pole position all the way down to P3 as it stands there, but he's coming through into sector 3. He is improving on his lap time, but not by enough to take back that pole position as it stands there. Can he improve enough through sector 3 is the question. We will find out here as car number 52 flies through the spoon curve. They're down towards the start-finish straight once again, then we're down towards the hairpin first, but of course the start-finish straight after that. But so far so good then for Ekwaz. Let's see if he can improve further enough. Can he get that pole position back then? Can he cement his charge or his fight to stay in the title fight as he comes across the line very shortly indeed? And here comes the Alfa Romeo driver then to finish off his second lap here in the qualifying, that is. And he comes across the line now into P3, but he has improved by almost a tenth of a second, and he stays in the 32.0. But he's only a bit closer now to New Zealand Canada, but still Kiki then looking quite formidable then with a 31.730. That is looking quite good indeed then for Mercedes out there. We've got, I think, Vessia coming back to the pit lane. We've got a Red Bull coming into the pit lane as well. KD back out on the lap then. Coop is in P11 as it stands there, but he's coming round the final couple of corners then onto the back straight then with some DRS then for the Williams car. Of course, going to be very quick in a straight line. Not so good in the corners as we're familiar with Williams, but that is bad lap 6 for it, and he's on hard compact tyres, so yeah, I'm not quite sure if he's just settling into this one or what he's trying to do here, but it's Gordo, but we'll have to find out then later on in this qualifying session. Only 5 minutes left, I believe. Yellow flags then are in the way then. Yes, 5 minutes we're in here in qualifying. Here comes Coop then. Can he improve then from P11? Yes, he can. Up into the top 8 now with a 32.956. Into the top 8 then for the Williams car, the highest ranked Williams as it stands. Then of course Jay Hing's not yet to set a time, unfortunately, then for the other Williams car, but of course we will see what he can do then, I think, in the next couple of corners, or so in a couple of minutes I should say or so. KD there has crossed the line to finish off a lap. I can't quite see what the delta was, but he has stayed P5 for the time being. That guy coming back to the pit lane as well, then down the back straight with that engine revving quite highly, then trying to get himself into the pit lane as quickly as possible. Then here comes Jinner down towards sector 3 now as well, then Purple in sector 2. He is almost up 4/10 of a second then into sector 3. That is quite formidable stuff indeed. Where would that put him in terms of the grid order currently? It would put him in P6, I would imagine, roughly around between Camaro and KD as it stands. Then P6 then for Jinner, then it would be. Where will it be at the end of sector 3 though is the question. That's where the important bit is, because of course you can win and lose more time than in the final sector. We'll find out what the Mercedes driver can do here as we come through the hairpin once again, then to finish off another lap here as well then for Jinner. Let's see what he can do around the final corner now, flying through that final corner, then making sure you don't go over the curbs, because that can unsettle the car and spin you off into oblivion. Then it's P5, and he has improved by 6/10 of a second, 6.5 of a second then almost to P5 then 32.398, then puts himself into contention as well then. Good stuff indeed. I think we've got a bit of a lull out there now, as a few drivers then just waiting to come out of the pit lane for their final attempt here in qualifying. Gordo has said that what a lap then from Kiki and Kiki can and Ekwaz as well. Then so looking forward to seeing what Gordo can do when he puts on a set of soft compound tyres. Hopefully he is on a set of soft combine tyres, but he's still in the pit lane for the time being. So that is that then. Like I said, Gordo could be the champion here tonight. Then I keep saying it because we've got some new people joining us, hopefully, and we will see what the McLaren driver can do tonight. Then, of course, there's still 3 races remaining, including this one, but he could be crowned the champion then of the 100% League in this Shanghai, in this Chinese Grand Prix in Shanghai, of all places. There you go. So that's a bit of education. That's where the Chinese Grand Prix is held. Technically, it's actually not. It's actually miles away from Shanghai, but Shanghai is the nearest place, I believe, is the reasoning for that. So that's that. There you go then. That's your Chinese Grand Prix history lesson. But like I said, I don't know too much about China. But there we are then. So yeah, unfortunately that's what I've got. But we'll have a look and see what we can do about talking about some fantastic racing. I'm sure we'll get some here tonight. Then here comes Kaidel starting off his final attempt, I believe, here in qualifying as he goes through turns 2 and 3 now, keeping the car. Oh no, not keeping the car in check. Then he's lost time then as he loses the back end then through turn 3. And I think he has abandoned his time as well, and he's going to be trying to go again. I think is the Alpine car then as trying to improve on P11 as it stands, but we will wait and see. I think once again then he'll come back round. Hopefully we'll have enough time to save some ERS, then save some fuel and have enough fuel and ERS to go round again for another attempt, as KD has retired from the session and he is in the pit lane. He is done and dusted. He's not going to be starting any higher than P6 here in this race here tonight. We will wait and see how it all unfolds here in Shanghai, or in China, because like I said, I don't know where it is exactly, but it's not that close to Shanghai itself. But there we are then. Hey, all, says Rocket League as well, supporting the streamers, supporting the racers, as Jinner is also retired. Then he is retired in the pit lane. He is done and dusted from P5. So both KD and Jinner then think that they are done and dusted in qualifying. They don't want to go back out again just yet. Then we've got some more action and on track as we've got Ekwaz going past. I think it's going past the Williams then, who's I think just getting out of the way then is Jay Hings. Then Jay Hings looking to set his only and first lap time on the board. A lot of action then down the back straight then towards the trying to get themselves sorted then towards the final couple of seconds here in qualifying as we go around the final hairpin then to start us on our way. Kaido has got himself back underway as well, so he has got enough fuel, he has got enough ARS to go again. Hopefully he can keep that back end in check then going through turn 3. We'll come back to him because we've got an Alfa Romeo of Ekwaz then going through turns 2 and 3. Favre's got a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Don of the Dons, which is interesting stuff indeed. So that is not too helpful then for those two, as I think one of them come back in the pit lane. No, there's a Haas coming back in the pit lane there, so I'm not quite sure here. I think it is a Haas of Favre coming back to the pit lane, so he'll be starting from P20 on this grid after Styles and Russian are promoted above him as well with that 5-place grid penalty. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but we will at least sort that out after the Grand Prix, I think. But fingers crossed it doesn't make too much of a difference then, with 56 laps of racing still to come here in Shanghai. Ekwaz then is going to go through into Sector 3. The first driver then on his final outing here, as the Kamara racer has not made it to the line. Unfortunately for him, he's going to be staying P7 at best. Ekwaz then was improving in Sector 2. He was 2 and a bit tenths up, I think, on his time. Where would that put it in terms of the range of pole position? It was put him ahead of New Zealand Cam as it stands, but I don't know if we've got a spinner then at the spoon curve then in Sector 3. I think it's an Alpine then, as we've got some sort of issues. I think it might be Kai Dow who's had an issue then in the spoon curve, then trying to get himself out of the way then of the rest of the drivers who are flying through on their final flying laps here in qualifying. Here comes Ekwaz then to cross the line then to finish off qualifying for the Alfa Romeo team. Let's see what he can do. Can he put himself in the range then? He is up into P2 as Kaido being disqualified for parking in a dangerous location then. So Kaido is not having a great time out there. He's been demoted down to the back of the field, unfortunately. And that is not quite sure what was going on there. He might have been beached on a curve or something then at the spoon curve. Ekwaz then up into P2. I've completely missed all the times tumbling in here as well, which is great stuff. And Kiki's improved into a 31.4. Great stuff from him up into pole position. Then cementing that pole position. Gordo up into P5. The championship leader then is behind his rival then, but mathematically as New Zealand Cam then, wow, a fantastic lap time indeed. And the AlphaTauri then has taken it away then from Kiki. Sick as Muck then has split the two McLarens as well. Great stuff from Sick as Muck then in the Aston Martin. But New Zealand Cam then takes pole position here, unless Don of the Dons can do something about that, but I don't think he can. I think he's coming back into the pit lane there. So unfortunately then that is qualifying done dusted then for the Rebel as well then. But New Zealand Cam takes pole position then by, what is that then, 0.08 of a second then to Kiki in the Mercedes. That's a fantastic lap time indeed then from the AlphaTauri driver. Then that is phenomenal indeed as he takes pole position here in China then. Kiki will start from P2 on the front of the grid still, but not where he is accustomed to being. Of course, he's got pole position then in the last couple of races, I think, then. And, of course, got the win last week in Qatar as well then. So he will be having to fight with New Zealand Cam then, as we can see the classification then from qualifying here in China then. Ekwaz then P3, Vessia in P4, Stickers Muck P5, Gordo in P6 then, looking to try and get that title fight sorted and wrapped up here tonight as well then. And how much fuel are we saying this far? Goodness knows, probably a lot. Jinner then in P7, Samby Green P8, then KD P9, R2 Beat rounds off the top 10. Jay Hings P11 just got one time in on the board then and got himself up into P11, then Kamara then P12, Moomin P13, Coop P14, Martin P15, Donna the Dons P16. Farf is going to be, I think, P20 then with that position change after that collision, I don't know when. Hungry Styles P17, then Serious Mushroom P18 and Kaidel P20. Actually, I think Farf might be demoted down to P20 and Kaido up into P19. We'll have to wait and see what the grid looks like. But there we are then. Good stuff.
BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.
Shout out then to our sponsors and BoxBox, and who have of course keeping you up to date with any live action then from Formula One then in real life. Of course, get the app on your phones, then get up to date then with the standings, with everything on your home screen, with some fantastic looking widgets indeed. And you can get everything you need then on the app then for everything related to F1 really. Yeah, all tune in for that one. And of course, if you've got any pennies left over, you can of course join us on the ALR shop with some fantastic hoodies, fantastic shirts and whatnot as well. Very good stuff indeed. Thank you very much then to everybody who supports the channel. Then we will of course be putting everything that goes into the shop, coming out the shop, I would say, back into the league and that sort of thing as well. Then so thank you very much indeed. Then you've been disqualified then from the formation lap. We have got quite a steady split then of compound tyres. We've got the majority on the medium compound tyres. Everybody in the top 6 then. Sam Big Green from PA then all the way down to Moomin in P13, Martin P15 and Kaidel in P19 then all on the medium compound tyres to start off this race. We've got Jinner then P7. He's been disqualified from the formation lap, but he's going to be on soft compound tyres for the start. Same for Donna the Dons then in P16 then in the Red Bull. So we'll have to wait and see what they're going to be like then on the race start. Going to be very quick indeed. Then we've got hard compound tyres for Coop in P14, Hungry Styles P17, Serious Mushroom in P18 I should say, and Farf then in P20 after that 5 players grid penalty as well. So that is the order. That is the order for the start of this race, and that is the tyre compound then for the start of this race as well then. We will wait and see how it's going to unfold then. 56 laps, so it's going to be a long slog indeed then, as we'll have to find out who is going to be doing what then in this Grand Prix, as Moomin is already lagging in on the formation lap. So I would advise to turn off your stream then, because that is not going to be good news in the formation lap, and definitely for the race itself as well then, as we get ourselves underway then, just finishing off the formation lap to start ourselves into this race and take on the Chinese Grand Prix then for 56 laps here. Nice and sunny then for the start at least. So that is looking good indeed, as we get ourselves ready to line up on the grid then for the not checkered flag, sorry, that's the 56 laps then for the starting lights and the 5 red lights here in Shanghai. So good stuff. We'll get ourselves ready then to get ourselves started, as we get ourselves lined up on the grid. If we get ourselves enough sentences out, then we'll get there eventually. Right then, we are lined up now on the grid. We're lining up on the grid now for the start then of the Chinese Grand Prix. And we'll wait for the last couple of drivers at the back of the grid to get themselves lined up then, and we can get those 5 red lights on in China. Where will we get those 5 red lights on in China? Yes, we will. There we go then. I think they're coming on. I can't quite tell. No. Still not quite sure what's going on here. Yes, they are. Here we go then. 5 red lights coming on here in Shanghai then. The 5 red lights are on, and the 5 red lights are off, and away we go then in China then for round 13 of the season. As we go into turn 1, it looks like Equaz has got a fantastic start. Those medium compound tyres, he's up into P1. He's taken two places then as we go into turn 1 around the outside then of New Zealand Cam. Vessio's gained a place then on Kiki, who's had a difficult start then as Kiki then ghosting then from the McLaren somehow, but he's got himself through then in P3, then trying to challenge New Zealand Cam then in towards the next hairpin as well of sector 2, going down towards this heavy braking zone as well now, making sure you don't go in the back of anybody here is going to be the paramount of importance, of course, but seems so good, or seems all good so far. Gordo has lost out then one place to Jenner then, as we've got yellow flags in the background. It's a problem then for Kaidel. I think he's had an issue then in the Alpine after a difficult qualifying. It's not looking good then for the Alpine driver. It seems like he's had an issue somewhere as we go into the went into the hairpin there, I think, of sector 2 then, but unfortunately, fortunately, I think with that strategy's got in the way then, but I think he's got himself sorted. He's still in the queue, still in the fight then for in this train, I should say then. Don and Favre then switching places then, up 7 places already as Favre then 2 places gained then for the race leader now currently, who is Equaz then, who's looking to try and get that win here to cement his championship charge. And currently 69 points is the gap then before this race has taken part. Then we'll have to figure it out mathematically as the race goes on then. Don and the Dons and Favre switching places as we go down the back straight then into where we're going into the hairpin then, as KD has got himself past Gordo as well. Then New Zealand Cam has taken the place back on Equaz then into the hairpin corner as well then, and now ahead into the race lead as well then for the AlphaTauri driver then, as we go through to finish off the first lap here of 56 as we cross the line. Then Jenner has lost out then 1 second then to the gap to the top 3, I should say then. New Zealand Cam sets the fastest lap. Here comes Vessia then down the inside of Equaz. Is he going to go down the inside? Oh dear, there was lag there, I think that was. I'm not quite sure if that was me or if that was the drivers there, but I'm not quite sure what is going on. I think we did see Vessia ghosting off the start, so it might be there's a few internet issues then going for some of the drivers out there, but not just Moomin Ninja this time. So unfortunately, we're going to have to just deal with it. But unfortunately for Equaz, he's lost out then to Vessia then on those in the McLaren. Then he's down back to P3 as Kaidel is in the pit lane. He has jumped himself back into the box, and I think he's put on a new front wing. He's back underway very quickly indeed then, but back out the pit lane here as we get ourselves through onto lap 2, or through lap 2, halfway through already then, as we go through. The deltas then are not too active. Then Kiki is not that far behind his teammate. He is right there on the screen. I think soft compound tyres will generally gain 3 places after that disqualification in the formation. That has bounced back quite quickly indeed then on those soft compound tyres, of course, using the softs to their advantage then at the start of this race as well. So good stuff indeed then. Out in front then, the gap then is coming back down there in Ginnett's favour then. I think Kiki is being brought along with his teammate as well, which is good news for Kiki, who of course did qualify in P2, but he's now down to P5 then, being passed by his teammate as well as Vessia, I think it was, as Ginner and Equaz then switching places then into the hairpin, and there's contact between Ginner then and Equaz, not Ginner and Vessia, sorry, as Vessia's got himself back underway then. Sick as muck is involved. There's a wing flying off there as well for somebody then, not quite sure who it was then. As we go through the final corner, there's all sorts of action going on here, as I think that is compounded then from Ginner's accident then with Vessia then into the hairpin. Equaz has got a 5-second penalty for corner cutting and gaining a place there as well in P3, and there's more action as well as we go through into turn 1, and Ginner has spun the car and he's lost out then as an Alfa Romeo, sorry, of KD, I think, involved as well then, unfortunately for KD. No, it's not. Yes, it is KD, unfortunately for KD. He's had an issue. He's lost part of that end plate as well then for the Alfa Romeo then. I think that is all caused then from Ginner then overextending then into the hairpin, and that has cost Ginner then. It's cost Ginner, it's cost KD. I think it's cost Vessia as well, and it might have cost some more people as well, to be honest. I'm not quite sure who it's cost, to be honest. It's cost all sorts is the answer, is the response. I'm not quite sure where it is happening is the question. Down to P17 then for not for Ginner, sorry, for KD, and for Ginner as well, down to P19 then after that incident. I think they both got damage as well that will need to come into the pit lane and sort out then. But yeah, I think Ginner then overexcited then into the hairpin, and that cost the incident. I think Equaz has got himself through unscathed, but he has got that 5-second penalty. Of course, we'll be able to look at that after the race and review that. It might be removed, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, all action then on lap 2. It's calmed down a bit now for lap 3, thankfully, as we go into the hairpin once again. Then hopefully this time everyone behaves themselves, as they've learned from the worst of what the worst can be. Then as you go too deep then into the hairpin, Kamara Racer up into P10, far from Serious Mushroom, and switching places then down towards, or into the hairpin, out of the hairpin I should say, then in towards the final quarter, as into P13 goes Favre, then Serious Mushroom then challenging the Haas as we go on to the main straight. Here comes Favre then on the back of Don, and the Dons into the pits comes KD. Jinner has carried on. I don't think Jinner's got any damage, luckily, but KD unfortunately I think has got that damage then on the left end plate as Favre got himself past Don of the Dons then into P12, and now chasing down Moomin Ninja then for P11 and just outside the top 10 by 2 seconds. This group then, as we've got an issue for Serious Mushroom, then Mushroom's had an issue then through turn 3, he's got himself back together again, but unfortunately has lost out then to Styles as well. Then he's dropped down I think 2 or 3 places then into the hairpin we go then, and Coop and Martin are battling away. Coop down the inside then of the Ferrari, he's got himself up into P14. Out of the pits comes KD on the hard compound tyres, then looking to get himself back in this race then with a long stint on those hard compounds. 1.5 seconds the gap out in front, and we've completely missed it, but New Zealand Cam has stretched his lead then to 1.5 seconds and trying to get himself as far away as possible then in this next phase of the race. Equaz then is trying to challenge then Kiki, sorry I should say, try and get your words out, and he's trying to challenge for P2, then he's going to be within DRS then of his rival then, but of course that 5 second limit will be served probably when he comes into the pit lane then, which we're not quite sure what happened then, but he seems like he said he's got the 5 second limit quarter coming. Then we've got the yellow flag then for Kaido. Kaido's had an issue then somewhere at the back of the field. He is he had an issue then in sector 2 somewhere then as Kaido. Serious Mushroom been passed by Hungry Styles then up into P. No, they haven't. They're switching places once again then as we go down in towards the hairpin, making sure you don't go into the back of your teammate then is power out then for Serious Mushroom then, but he hasn't thankfully. So good stuff indeed. Sandy Green and Jay Hughes I think going to be fighting then as we go in towards turn 1. No, it's Sandy Green and Sick as Muck then. Sick as Muck has lost out the DRS then from the McLarens then, and now he is under threat then from the AlphaTauri and the Williams car. But there we go then, so far so good then, but look at this, Kiki then has he's mounted a charge very quickly indeed then. He's gained that 0.5 of a second, 0.6 of a second then to New Zealand Cam then, so quickly indeed. He's almost in the DRS range already on this start of this lap as well then. He's flying now on this one. I think maybe had an issue that as New Zealand Cam I think it's gone off the circuit, then he's gone off the circuit as well, then Kiki has gone through, as has Equaz as well, then New Zealand Cam rejoins behind the 2 now, and unfortunately that error has cost him 2 places as well then from the lead of this race. They're down to P3. He's still within the range then of the top 2, but unfortunately that cost the error then through sector 2. I think that's where we saw Kaidel having an issue as well, so that could be a sticking point then in the rest of this race. We'll have to wait and see then. Equaz now around the spoon curve, they're trying to keep up with Kiki. Of course that penalty will be served in the pit lane, but we'll have to review it after the race. Potentially it will be removed as well. So good stuff so far. 5 laps completed out of 56 then. We're storming through. Here comes New Zealand Cam then. He's trying to storm through down the inside then at the hairpin, and he has got the move then on Equaz. I think he actually has done. Up into P2, back up into P2 I should say. Then Equaz trying to fight back, but he has to slot in behind. It's not a wise place to go side by side through the final quarter then, but it looks like Sick as Muck and Sandy Green are going to try that as we go through into the final quarter this time then on to lap 6 now. Sandy Green I think has got some DRS to play with as we go through towards turn 1, and he has got himself past the Aston Martin now up into P6 as well, and trying to stretch his legs now, catch up to the McLarens if he can in the AlphaTauri as well then. Good stuff indeed then. Sick as Muck down to P7 and still in the fight for some big points here as well. Jay Hings there waiting in the wings. RTB trying to catch up with this battle as well. Then he's got Kamara Racing that he's bringing along, I should say, as company. Then Moomin and Farth then catching up to each other as well, having a nice little battle as well, it looks like. I'm not quite sure they're going to be too fond of each other then as we go through into the hairpin, as Kaidel has left the session, and unfortunately for Kaidel that is him done and dusted in this race as it stands. Unless he can get himself back in, then hopefully he can get himself rejoined as quickly as possible, and we can get ourselves cracking then for he can get himself cracking then for trying to get himself back in this race there, but unfortunately not looking too good then for the Alpine driver as it stands. But there we go. Into sector 2 then. Farth has got himself ahead now of Moomin Ninja then on those hard compound tyres. 4 seconds to gap to the top 10 now as they have started to stretch their legs out in front. Then here comes New Zealand Cam on the back then of, well, not on the back completely, but he's in DRS range then of Kiki. Equaz then sticking with the top 2 as well. Stands with O'Donnell got himself past his teammate into P4 then. As it stands, Gordo is the champion then. And the gap then will be, what will it be? It will be, I can't remember what the gap will be, to be honest. I'll have to work it out towards the end. As Sick as Muck has got himself back up into P6, then back ahead then of Sam B. Green in the AlphaTauri then, as we go through the hairpin once again then. Lap 6 of 56 complete, and we've got so sorry for you. But there we go then, as we cross the line then to start off lap 7 here as well then. Into lap 7 we go then, and Sam B. Green trying to mount a charge then in towards turn 1, but he's too far back then to overtake the Aston Martin just yet. Then R2 Beat then trying to catch up to this pack, but he's lost out then to that 1 second. Then Kamara Racing now all over the back of the Haas driver then as we go through into turns 2 and 3. And so far so good then. Unfortunately for KD and for Kydell, then not so good for them. They've had a few issues then in the opening lap or two. Unfortunately KD has run out of ERS as well then, so that is hopefully going to get himself, not going to get himself back in this race with that ERS light blinking away then, but he has got the pace then we've seen from KD before, so hopefully he can get himself back in this one in the next few laps or so. Of course he has made a stop then, he's going to be on to the hard compound tyres, so going long in the next stint, whereas there's a few drivers then who are on medium compound tyres or even soft compound tyres ahead of him that will have to pit earlier than he will, so that will get himself back in the train potentially as well. New Zealand can then clinging onto the back then of the Mercedes of Kiki for the time being, then staying within that DRS window, but not being able to mount a charge then for the race lead once again. Then unfortunately after that mistake then it's cost him the race lead, and now he is down to P2 then, but he's got himself back up to P2 after getting past Ekbaz. Ekbaz now waiting in the wings then, staying behind the two of them as we go down towards the hairpin once again. 2 seconds the gap down to 4 though as it stands. Then Vessier is right behind him, but the two McLarens now are in a bit of fresh air as well then, as it looks like 2 seconds the gap to the top 3 and 2 seconds or almost 3 seconds back to Sickers Muck then, so those two looking quite comfortable out there. Movement has got himself back past Farf then down into the hairpin as well as we go through, but Farf then with a switchback then on the Aston Martin has got himself back through and back up into P11 I should say, then getting himself past Movement Ninja then and into the range then of the point pair positions. With one more driver then has an issue or has to come into the pit lane, then that will return the favour then for Farf then back up into P10 I should say, into turn 1 though, and Farf then has been passed again then by Movement Ninja, but again he's gone wide and allowed the door to open then for Farf to go down the inside then, as we've got all sorts of switchbacks going on for the Haas driver then. Trying to defend then is the Aston Martin, then after making the move then into turn 1 he's now got Farf next to him then as we go through in towards the hairpin of sector 2 now. Down the outside goes Farf then trying to get himself round the outside then of the Aston Martin. Can he make the move then is the question. Yes he can, he's got himself up into P11 once again, but these two resuming their fight then in this into sector 2 as well now, so good stuff indeed. And Sirius Rushman's caught up to the back of the pack as well. Sirius Rushman is waiting in the wings then, of course on the hard compound tyres as well. He is looking to go long then in this first stint and could be able to get himself into contention then with this longer first stint as well then, if it works out for him. Of course the strategies are all up in the air, we don't know what tyre is the best to start on, we don't know what strategies everybody's on as well then, so we'll have to wait and see. It might be a 2-stop around here I'm pretty sure, but yeah, we'll have to find out. So there we go then. Kydell said my game crashed and internet is okay. Says Kydell, hopefully if you've got, you can use the old invite if you need it. You can send another invite in the match, I think, just to make sure. But we will get you back in now, hopefully. Kydell, there he is. There's an invite for you, sir. And you can get yourself back into the lobby, hopefully now as well. Sirius Rushman then all over the back end of this pair who are fighting away tooth and nail. Now he's trying to pull away then from Don of the Dons, who's on the soft compound tyres. He might have already started to drop off, as it's not a very good circuit then for tyre wear, is it? Especially on the soft compound tyres then. So those like Don of the Dons and Gina then and Kydell. Unfortunately Kydell not in the car just yet, but hopefully he can get himself back in. As Farf then running up a move, I completely missed it, going the wrong way. Farf is going to go around the outside then of moving then into turn 1 and 2. There's contact between the two cars again, as Kydell has rejoined then, thankfully. Good stuff indeed. Then down the inside then goes Farf. Where is he? Yes, he is there, and he's got himself back up into P11, but these two battling away then has, like I said, it's brought Sirius Rushman into the fight as well then, as we go down the inside for moving, then trying to hold on to the place then for Farf around the outside. He has got the position now on the inside then for the next turn, and he has kept P11 for the time being. Like I said, this battling is costing him dearly, because they're now 7 seconds behind the top 10 as it stands, and Sirius Rushman has caught up then as well. Coop could catch up, Hungry Stars can catch up, so could Martin as well. Then there's a lot of fighting going on, soon to be going on I think as well. Then Donald Johnson had an issue somewhere because he's dropped down the field, and he was ahead I think of Coop and Styles then, but he's lost out to the Williams and to the Red Bull car as we went through onto lap 9 as well then. So yeah, not quite sure what happened there, but we'll have to find out after the race. But I think it was just a nice clean overtaking as well then. That's what we want to see. Vessier and Gordo have switched places, then Gordo now dropping down behind his teammate. Sickers Muckman has been passed, has he, by Sam B. Green into the hairpin? Yes, he has then. He's gone deep then for Sam B. Green, losing the space then for the Aston Martin, losing the back end of it then as well. Again, going through onto the power then, but now that could entice Sickers Muck to make a move then down the main straight. Sorry, I had a bit of cauliflower cheese before I started the stream, and now it's coming back up. But yeah, here we go then in towards turn 1. Then Sick as Muck trying to get himself back up into P6, but not quite. Then he's too far back then to make a move into turn 1 and turn 2. Then on the AlphaTauri, then Sandy Green then 4 seconds back behind the McLarens as it stands then, but has been fighting Sick as Muck. Jay Hing's been waiting in the wings, and R2B has caught up to this fight. So has Kamara Racer, and now 7 seconds the gap between Mushroom in P11 and Kamara in P10. Then Mushroom's got himself past both Moomin and Favre somewhere, and has now gained himself 2 places there, and got himself into the fight. Then no ERS. Then it looks like that ERS like flashing away then on the Ferrari, so he's burned a lot of battery then to get himself into P11 as it stands. Can he now power away from both the drivers behind him and get himself into contention then for the top 10? We will wait and see then. Lap 10 has commenced here as we are through, or halfway through, almost all the way through to lap 10 as well here. But we'll wait and see how it's going to unfold then for the rest of the race. And R2B and Kamara Racer have switched places. What's happened there? I think we've had an issue somewhere. We've got yellow flags somewhere as well. Then there's Ginner and Martin. I think they're having an issue. Then Ginner and Martin. Then what's happened then? Ginner is going wide then out of the double left-hander then, but I'm not quite sure what's happened there. Yellow flags were fluttering. Vessia and Gordo took places. Sick as Muck is back ahead now of Sandy Green. These two were resuming their battle then that they've had for the first 10 laps of this race so far as well, it seems. Gordo back ahead of his teammate then onto the main straight once again then to start off lap 11 then for the McLarens. 3 seconds the gap to the top 3 out in front. 2 seconds the gap between Kiki and New Zealand Cam. Then New Zealand Cam under pressure now from Equaz as we go into turns 2 and 3 as well. Then there is the Mercedes in the foreground and just flying through turn 3 and followed closely by the Alfa Romeo and the AlphaTauri as we go through. Then Go Mushroom says Rocket Lisa. Then Hadbog has said egg in the comment section as well. Then great stuff indeed. As we go into section 2 now. So that was that then. But great bacon as well from Rocket Lisa. Egg and bacon is not too bad in my opinion. But there we go then. So Vessia now all over the back of his teammate. I think maybe Vessia then is going to try and work together with Gordo to win in the title here tonight. Then currently, like I said, the gap was 69 points before the race started here. There is going to be 75 points or 78 points on offer with the fastest lap from the beginning of this race then to the end of the season. So if Gordo can just, Equaz needs to outscore Gordo really by at least 19 points, I believe, it's 17 points, I believe, to get himself in contention to keep the title fight alive then for the remainder of the season. And it could be, as it stands, it could be in Gordo's favour. It is in Gordo's favour as it stands. But of course, if he has any influence with his team, then that might be a problem. We'll have to wait and see. So Gordo went into the hairpin and Vessia then just waiting behind. Jay Hings has now pounced and got himself up into P7 ahead of the AlphaTauri of Sandy Green. Into the hairpin we go, almost contact with the back of the Aston Martin, but he's got himself through without any issues then. Good stuff indeed. And Kamara Racer was lost out to the DRS then of these 3. They've powered on ahead quite quickly indeed. Then R2B down to P10, then getting passed by Kamara Racer now, dropping down to that 10th place then, as he's had an issue coming through the final corner as well, and he's lost out a lot of time then to the Alpine as we cross the line to start lap 12 here. Serious Mushroom is bringing that gap down. It's now 6.5 seconds. It was over 7 at one point, so the gap is coming down from the Ferrari driver to the top 10. So potentially that Mushroom is powering on now in the Ferrari, then looking good so far in this race as well. Then Farfman stays P12 for the time being. Moomin is on the immediate compound tires. He's in P13 right behind these two. Hungry Star then looking to catch up as well. Then in the background, then Ginner is on those soft compound tires. I think starting to come towards the end of their best life here, because I don't know how long the softs last around this circuit, but it looks like they're struggling already as Martin is all over the back now of that Mercedes as we go into sector 2 here. Starting to sweat. Oh my goodness me, that was I thought it was going to be a lunge indeed then from the Ferrari, but he's managed to back out just in time, I think, there. But that was close indeed. Never have egg without bacon, says Rocket Lisa, and Mushroom as well. Your safety cars come out. What's happened here? Hungry Styles has had an issue somewhere. I completely missed it because I was reading the egg and bacon chat in the comment section, but there we go then. Safety car is out then. Kaido is going to be loving this because he's back in the race now, although he's made a mistake, I think. If the top drivers don't come in the pit, then he'll be lapped in. So that will be costly indeed then for Kaido if he does come out behind the race leader. Kiki is coming in the pit lane now, so I think Kaido might be reprieved from any lapped issues What will the McLarens do is the question here, as both the McLarens are coming in the pit lane. Unfortunately, then they've had to double stack. They will have to double stack them in this pit phase. Safety car out, then Hungry Styles then has had an issue somewhere in Sector 2. And I think we did see a couple of drivers having issues in Sector 2 before as well then. So that is that then. Into the pits comes Kiki then from the race lead onto a set of hard compound tyres. I'm not sure they'll be able to get to the end of the race from here. We'll have to find out. I'm pretty sure they will have to make another stop from here, regardless of what tyre they go on to afterwards then. Equaz, of course, has had to serve that penalty, hasn't he? So that is demoted Equaz down behind Gordo, his championship rival, and that is costly indeed then, that penalty. Then, of course, that penalty will be looked at after the race and potentially removed. So we will have to wait and see then when the checkered flag falls. But at that moment, that penalty is put him behind his hard title rival then of Gordo, then, and in between the McLarens, Vessia then into P5, or down to P5 I should say, then Sickers him up P6 on the hard compounds. Then Jay Hings on the medium compounds then has displaced Sam B Green down to P8 then on the hards. Mara Racer stays P9, then R2 Beat stays P10. Then Serious Mushroom on the medium compound tyres now has got a penalty. Then where has he picked up a penalty? He's got a 5-second penalty, same for Farf as well then. So both of those drivers have got 5-second penalties, I think, for speeding into the pit lane, which is bad news indeed. Yes, there we go. So right then, Kydell then is going to be able to get himself back in the fight, I think, here, which is great news for the Alpine driver. Same for KD as well. Then he's coming out of the pit lane now. He's ghosted, but he's now got himself unghosted, which is good. He's on the medium compound tyres now, trying to catch up to the queue now as we go through into Sector 3 now for the safety car. But unfortunately for Kydell, he's coming around the hairpin, so he's got quite a lot of catching up to do then, has the Alpine driver. But fingers crossed he can get there before the safety car decides to come back into the pit lane as well then. We will wait and see. Right then, good stuff indeed. I think it's more breakfast chat in the comment section with egg, bacon and mushrooms then going on. So that is that then. Yeah, I'm quite hungry now, so I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to have for breakfast tomorrow morning. I will have to get through this race first, of course. 13 laps have been completed. Safety car has been called out then with Hungry Styles unfortunately retiring in Sector 2, then having a bit of an incident then through Sector 2. I think it's quite easy to lose the car through there, he unfortunately is out of the race then. The first retirement, the only retirement so far in this Grand Prix. Lap 13 of 56 then. I hope we'll be able to get ourselves back racing at the end of lap 14, because the likes of Kydell and KD need to catch up to the safety car queue quickly, and we can get ourselves, dear, what's happened here? Oh, back in the pit lane for Mark and Farf and Firstly. No, it's Serious Mushroom in the pit lane and Farf as well then. So they have, I think, decided to serve their 5-second speed in the pit lane on their previous pit entry. They've decided to serve them now to get them out of the way then, which is quite clever in the way, because they've got themselves penalty free. But of course they will lose positions then. KD has gone through then up into P16 now ahead of Farf and ahead of Mushroom. Where are they going to come out? Mushroom ahead of Farf then into P17. Kydell coming through the hairpin now as well, then trying to catch up, like I said, is Kydell then after disconnecting as well, then having a horrible start to the race, having a wing change, having a disconnect, and now getting himself back in the race then with this safety car as well then. So at least it's good news for one. For Kydell, that is, so he can get himself back on the train to hopefully get himself back in the fight as well. Give me some black pudding, says Moving. Best part of breakfast is black pudding, says Gordo. To be fair, I never used to like it, but I am a fan, so I will indulge in the black pudding as well then. So yeah, good stuff indeed. I'm not a fan of what it's made out of, but I like the taste of it. So there you go. Just shows that's what I really worry about. There we go then. Into Sector 2 then goes Kydell then. Hopefully he can catch up in time. I'm not quite sure if the safety car is going to come in this lap or not, if it's just waiting for Kydell, or if it will give up with waiting for Kydell and just come back in the pit lane. We'll have to wait and see. But the Alpine then has done pretty much a whole lap then, trying to catch up then after the safety car was brought out, then having to adhere to the Delta at the same time. So that is why it's taken a while then for the Alpine to catch up. I think we'll be able to get ourselves restarted. If it's not at the end of this lap, it might be a late call at the end of this lap, to be fair, but it will be at the end of lap 15 if we don't get onto the next lap. Then we'll wait and see what Bert Mylander is going to do. But so far he is sticking to it. He's sticking out in the race lead at the moment is the Mercedes, the red Mercedes. No, it is coming in this lap then. It's a very late call indeed then. And safety car in this lap then. That was a very, very late call from Bertmine. And I think he'll be getting a slap on the wrist then from me and from anybody who cares. But there we go then. Onto the start-finish straight then, and we're going to be going late indeed then for Kiki, and he's gone now. Gordo then is trying to get himself into the fight then for the top two. Can he get himself into the fight for the podium places? He's already in P3. Can he get himself further up the order then? Equaz is going to be trying to fight through as well, then trying to get himself back through. Then is Vessia then going to dive down the inside? Yes, he is then, as he's trying to get himself down the inside at turn 2, then on the Alfa Romeo, but not quite. Then he has to slot in behind in the background. Then Junior's got himself past Coupe, has he? Yes, he has. I think he has. Oh dear, it looks like that Mercedes is very twitchy indeed then, as he's lost out then. Down the inside goes the Mercedes then into the hairpin, and once again he's gone deep on the brakes. There's an Aston Martin there of Moomin. I think it's Moomin. Yes, it is Moomin. And they're coming together then, these two. And unfortunately that has cost Moomin as well. Then he's on the soft compound tyres. There's an Alfa Romeo there as well. KD is in the mix then as well. Then I'm not quite sure what is going on then with Moomin as well. I think there's wheel banging all over the place there as we go into sector 2 then through the double left hand. Then Moomin has dropped down to P13. Mushroom and Farf then. No, not Mushroom and Farf. Farf and Dons then mashing away as we go into sector 3, and it's late on the brakes from Dons again, and there's contact with Farf, and they've both come together then into the braking zone there, and Farf has thankfully got himself through, I think, unscathed there somehow. Looked like that front wheel was going to be in danger then, but he's got himself back through. KD and Martin switching places, then Martin now down to P15. Here comes Kydell then on the charge as well, then into can he get himself a double overtake into the hairpin, and down the inside then goes the Alpine driver, then on the brakes late, then he's made contact with the Alfa Romeo, then the Alfa Romeo keeps holding the place, and Kydell has got himself passing to P15, then Mushroom has got himself past his teammate right now all over the back then of the Alpine as we go down towards turn 1 once again, then onto the 16th lap then of 56 here. Can Mushroom make a move then into turn 1? Not quite. He stays behind the Alpine for the time being. Jinner and Moomin once again resuming their battle. Soft compound tyres for Moomin then, as there's contact again between the Aston Martin and the Mercedes, and off they go in the background as well then. Great stuff indeed. So fantastic. God damn it. So there we go. Great racing from those two. That's just showing you how to do it, really, isn't it? But blimey, I think there's more incidents then between the Aston Martin and Mercedes that we've seen before, and that will be looked at after the race, I think. Then we had Jay Hings getting himself past Sick as Muck then into P6 now. Jay Hings in the Williams car looking strong so far in this second stint then. So he's got himself into P6, 1.8 seconds behind the top 5 as it stands. Can he get himself back in that range for some DRS, which will be enabled, I think, on the start of lap 17. Down the order, Kydell's got himself over to P13, trying to get himself back in this race. Then Newman and Martin, contact between the Ferrari and the Aston Martin this time, as Gordo's got himself past New Zealand Cam, then into P2. Then Gordo is on the charge here, and can he get himself back into the DRS range then of Kiki? Then can he get himself into a race-winning contention here? Into the hairpin we go then, late on the brakes then, as Sirius Russian and Kydell switching places there down the order. Then Kydell has lost out to the Ferraris. We go down the main straight towards the hairpin. Then can Kydell stick it down the inside then? Contact again then with the Ferrari then, but Ferrari now ahead into the hairpin as DRS re-enabled now, and Kydell has gone very slowly through that hairpin as well now. It's costing the DRS window then to his rivals, and Farr picks up a penalty then coming through the final corner, and there's a what's that, Junior in the background and going through the pit lane, so he's had an issue somewhere. I think he had an issue with moving Ninja then in turn 3, but we will look at that, like I said, after the Grand Prix. Yeah, we will get ourselves through the remaining laps first, I think. Then, so good stuff indeed. To be fair, we missed out down south on the Blimey, what is that? I would have to have a conversation with Gordo after this race, what that is, because that sounds. Doesn't sound breakfasty, does it? But there we go. Then Jinner's back out pit lane onto a set of medium compound tyres. Then let's see if he can get himself back in this race. Then after that damage, I think sustained then in turn 3 on the last lap. But there we go. Then Gordo is lost out. He's not within DRS then of Kiki, who is trying to pull away at this stage of the race. Then on the medium compound tyres, there is Gordo. Could get himself back in contention if he can keep that tyre wear in check. Then onto lap 17, or at the end of lap 17 now as well, as we go through into the final speed curve of the lap. Then onto sector 3. Here comes Cameron, DRS now available, then as the rear wing opens up then on the Alpha Tower, heading down towards the hairpin once again. Then can he get himself in contention then into the hairpin? He's too far back to make a move then on the McLaren, then as they bunch up then into that hairpin turn. sort of Kongman. I think Moonman's got himself past Kaido. Yes, he has. Then here comes Farf as well. They're trying to go down the inside of the Alpine, and there's contact between them both again, as Farf doesn't like to go through for an overtake without making contact. As we go into the final corner now as well, then Alpine of Kaido then is lost out from P13 down to P15 and could lose out to P16 as well, with Farf all over the back and with some DRS then in towards turn 1. DRS for Kaido, then down the inside, then Coop and KD, switching places then into turn 2. Up into P11 now for the Alpha Romeo driver, then good stuff indeed. Moomin has lost out a lot of time, then Kaido and Farf, where are Kaido and Farf, then into turn 3, then side by side still for the Alpine and the Haas car as we go into the hairpin of sector 2 now. As around the outside, Kaido's going to try and hold it. Then, of course, medium compound tyres for Farf. He's going to be slightly faster on those mediums compared to the hard compound tyres for Kaido. Then, but Kaido can go longer in this next stint as well, and he has to try and factor that into his strategy as well. And of course, there's going to be lots of drivers going around that are going to be faster on their softer set of compounds, or softer set compared to you, that is. So that's a long-term game, which it is, because it's 56 laps of it. But there we go. Then here comes the train in the front then, and they have lost Jay Hing, the top 5. Or Gordo's not within the DRS range just yet, but he's trying to get himself back in that window. Here comes Ekwaz on the back of New Zealand Cam, then into the hairpin we go. Then side by side, there's contact with Gordo and Ekwaz, and that is costly indeed for both of them then in the championship fight, because it could mean a penalty then coming the way of Ekwaz then, and Gordo then has dropped down to P5 as well. Then into the final quarter we go, then onto lap 19. Then this has been a chaotic bit of racing, I think, then, as there's more contact with Coop and well, blimey, what happened there? Coop and KD into the final corner. Then Moomin's had an issue as well then at the final corner, and I think this is, I don't know what's going on out here. It seems like there's a connection issue between some drivers, and I think Moomin is at the forefront of it as well, then, as he's left the session as well. And so yeah, I'm not quite sure what was going on then. But yeah, Moomin, I think, is out of the race, and I think that's probably for the best then for the rest of the drivers. And there seems to be all sorts of issues out there with his internet connection then, so that is probably safer for the rest of the field. But there we go, then Moomin then is out of the Grand Prix. It looks like he's leaving the session as well. But I don't think it's I don't think it's a similar situation to Kaido, because Kaido just again tweeted him out then, but his internet seems to be all right then. But he seems to be goodness me, it seems to be okay now for the time being. Then lap 19, blimey, we've got to get through another 30 laps plus of this then. So yeah, great stuff indeed. But Don of the Dons then is in the fight, and he's on the hard compound tyres as well. Same for Kaido. Can these drivers on the hard compound tyres, can they get to the end of the race from here? It will be a tall order. We'll wait and see then what the strategy is going to be like. Then there's a serious rush from now on the back of R2 then for that P10 position. There's movement out in front. Then Ekwaz has lost out to Gordo into the hairpin this time as well. Hopefully the Alfa Romeo then doesn't go into the back of the McLaren this time as well. Vess has got himself ahead of New Zealand Can and up into P2 as it stands as well. And then good stuff indeed so far as it stands as well. The championship is going the way of the McLaren driver of Gordo as we cross on to lap 20 of 56 here as well. Then Vessia then has got himself up into P2. He stays P2 as well. Sandy Green has got himself past Sickers and up then into P7 now on those hard compound tyres. And now trying to chase down the top 6 as it stands. That incident then between Ekwaz and Gordo into the hairpin on the previous lap has brought Jay Hings into the fight as well here for that for the podium places, to be fair. So looking strong so far for the Williams car as well then. And yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to read that comment out, because I think yeah, we've said that every time, but unfortunately it's down to your internet connection where they can't actually see where your car is. So yeah, as soon as you've got that sorted, then we can get you back racing then. But unfortunately, you're going to have to sort of try and deal with that a different way now from now on, because I think it's kept on happening every race pretty much since the last 2 weeks. So yeah, we'll look at that after the race and deal with it accordingly. But there we go then. So far so good then for the rest of the field who are still in this race. But Jinner then is trying to catch up. He's 20 seconds behind the pack as it stands, but 28 seconds actually, with maybe not in the race as well then. But yeah, it's a bit of an odd one that, because it's well, a bit of a shame that it's ruining people's races out there as well then. Vessia now is under pressure from New Zealand Can to go in towards the hairpin. I've gone back to the wrong battle then. Here comes Vessia, sorry, here comes New Zealand Can then up into P2. Vessia trying to fight back then through the hairpin then, but he's dropped down to P3. Ekwaz has got himself ahead of his championship rival of Gordo into P4 for the time being as well now. But these two battling away, then this is where the title could be won then for Gordo, of course. As it stands, then it's going his way. Then Martin has got himself past Kydell as well. Then Kydell struggling out there at this stage, and it looked like he was going to be going all right then for the Alpine driver with the safety car. He got himself back up into P13, but now is starting to struggle. Then New Zealand Camden is battling away with Vessia. Vessia is back up into P2 then, after getting himself back past in towards turn 1 on the AlphaTauri, then back up into P2. 2.4 seconds the gap then to the race leader of Kiki, who is checking out in the distance at this stage. He is looking quite comfortable out there on the hard compound tyres as well then. Equaz now in the fight then for that podium place. Same for Gordo. So Jay Higgins, like I said, waiting in the wings then for anything to happen for the drivers around him as well. We'll wait and see what does happen as well in this next half of the race. To be fair, we're almost halfway through, thankfully, because I'm getting a bit tired and a bit sweaty, as you can tell. But there we go then. 3.9 seconds, the gap, 4 seconds almost the gap to the top 6 then for Sam B. Green. Then he's got Sick as Muck, he's got Kamara Racer. He will have Serious Mushroom, I think, very soon with him as well. Then trying to get themselves in the fight then for that P7 position, trying to get themselves past the AlphaTauri and get up to the top 6 as well. We will wait and see. Then Coop now all over the back of R2 Beat then as we go through into the spoon curve once again of sector 3. We've got issues going on. No, not issues. Accident. No, we've got overtake going on then as Vesha has lost out to New Zealand Cam. Gordo's got himself past Equaz. Sick as Muck now past Sam B. Green then into the hairpin as well. There is all the action then into the hairpin as we cross the line very shortly then to start off lap 22 of 56. And here comes Gordon, and he's on the back of his teammate as well here, looking to get himself back in podium contention as well now as well after the battle then between himself and Sam B. Green once again back past Sick as Muck then into turn 1. The Aston Martin and the AlphaTauri then are looking to be joined at the hip then for the whole of this race, it looks like, as they've been very close indeed since the get-go pretty much. As we turn into turn 3 of the lap then as well. 22 laps and have beaten, 21 laps have been completed. Late on the brakes then for Vestia, then he's almost into the back of the Union Cannon and Corder, then lining up a move then on his teammate potentially as well. Then we'll have to see if there's going to be some team orders coming soon between the McLaren pair. But like I said, I think Equaz was in danger then of causing a bit more of an incident with himself and Gordo into that hairpin. Then it was late on the brakes then from the Alfa Romeo driver. He went into the back then of Gordo as Gordo's gone off the circuit there as well. Then what's happened to Gordo? This could be bad news indeed. If there's a technical fault then for the McLaren, that could be costly indeed in cementing his championship here tonight. Then if that is going to be a permanent technical failure, that could be very costly indeed. Then that car did not want to turn into that left-hander as well then, so hopefully that is just a bit of a gust of wind or something that's been a bit of a fault in catching out the McLaren driver. Hopefully that can be resolved and removed then from his next lap as well, his next few laps. We will wait and see then. Into the hairpin goes Vessi, and then ahead of New Zealand Camden. New Zealand Camden will switch back then. Can he get himself back up into P2? I think he can. Yes, he can. Back over into P2, then goes the AlphaTauri, then he's fighting off the McLarens as it stands as well. Then as we cross into lap 23, now 3 seconds, the gap to the race leader of Kiki, who's enjoying very much the McLarens and the AlphaTauri are battling away then, because he's extending his gap massively as well. Gordo trying to go down the inside then of using Can into turn 2, and can he hold it around the outside now of turn 3 to get himself onto the podium places then? We'll have to wait and see as we go through into turn 3, and he's just behind, he slots in behind, unfortunately then couldn't get himself through then in the complex of corners, then down towards the hairpin. Then can he go down the inside then of using the Can then and try and mount the charge this time into sector 2 as we go side by side. The medium compound tyres of course will be a bit faster I think at the hards, but it looks like New Zealand Can's holding on for the time being, and he has done as well in the McLaren sandwich though, which is not very much to be, I'm sure. He's probably much more comfortable than fighting with Kiki than for the race lead then, but otherwise that gap now almost 4 seconds with all the battling going through sector 1. That gap has extended massively then on this lap 23, so unfortunately for those who are looking to fight for the race lead, unless Kiki makes a mistake then, or there's a pit stop error or something like that for Kiki, then he is looking quite comfortable out there as it stands at the moment. Then almost 4 seconds the gap then to the race leaders then for Vessia. Here comes New Zealand Cam, here comes Gordo, here comes Equaz, here comes Jay Hings then down the back straight. DRS enabled as well then in towards the hairpin. Let's see if there's going to be any moves made then for the likes of New Zealand Cam. Then with some DRS then into the hairpin we go then once again, and everyone's going through calmly. which is nice. Kamara Race has got to run into P7 now ahead of Sick as Muck into the hairpin we go then. Sick as Muck dropping down to P8, then Sam B Green then into P9, and Sirius rushing into the top 10 as well as it stands. And the Ferrari driver looking good so far then in this stint as well. Out in front, we've got New Zealand Cam then going for P2, then he's got the outside then, which will turn to the inside then for the next corner. But will he be able to go down the inside then of Vessia? Will Vessia have anything to do with that? Yes, he will. Unfortunately, he's going to have to, because that car, the AlphaTauri, is well alongside, and he has got himself back up into P2 as well. Then in towards Sector 2 we go now. ERS light flashing then on the AlphaTauri, so he's not got much electrical energy to play with here in China for the time being, that is, unless he can save some up as well then. But so far so good then. Into P2 goes the AlphaTauri, battling away, like I said, with the McLarens then, and he's got himself a 4.3 second gap now to the race lead. Then Vessia then is going to be looking to mount a charge then on the back straight, I think, with some DRS potentially for that P2 position once again then. But these these five, sorry, battling away then for P2. They've been putting on a fantastic fight so far, which is great stuff indeed. Like I said, as it stands, then the championship is going the way of McLaren and Gordo in person, in terms of the drivers' championship, that is. As of course he needs to, X-Ride needs to outscore Gordo by, I think it's 17 points. And as it stands, then that is not going his way. This Vessia got to up into P2. Here comes Gordo as well. Then Gordo's too far back then to make a move then on the AlphaTauri as we go into the hairpin once again. But Vessia has got the position in. Sick as Muck back past Kamara Racer, then into the hairpin we go. And Kamara Racer slotting back into P8 and right behind the Aston Martin. These two then carrying on their fight. And Sam B Green was in the fight. He's still in the fight then, but he's lost out to Kamara then in the Ferrari. Somewhere along that battle as well. Then R2B then he's trying to hold on to the back of Coop. Then he's 2 seconds off the top 10 is the Williams car, looking to get himself back in the fight. Then here comes Kamara then into turn 1. He's too far back to make a move then on the Aston Martin of Sick as Muck. As it stands, the AlphaTauri has stayed between the McLarens this time, so it's been status quo then on the start finish straight over these guys this time. Lap 25 of 56 has commenced here as well. Then 4.4 is the gap then to the race leader, and now I think the medium compound tyres and the hards will be very equal in terms of pace at this stage. I think the medium compound tyres will start to wear out. Of course, they will start to wear out a lot quicker than the hard compound, so I think it might be falling into favour now for the hard compound tyres. We'll wait and see. Of course, we haven't had a full stint under our belts with that safety car coming out on lap 13, so we don't know exactly how long the medium compound tyres or the hard compound tyres will last in this in a stint, that is. I'm sure we will find out. Hopefully we'll find out. I've turned the webcam off as well, that's good stuff. To be fair, you don't want to see me sweating. But I'll turn it back on in a minute. But there we go then. New Zealand Cam then all over the back then of Vessia as we go down towards the hairpin once again then onto lap 25 of 56. We're almost at the halfway distance now. Here comes the AlphaTauri then on the back of the McLaren, all over the back of the McLaren as well as we go through the hairpin, but not quite making a move then for that P2 position. Then into the final corner we go. Then R2B has made a move though. He's up into P11. Is he? Yes, down the inside of the Williams of Coop. Then up into P11 now for the Haas, and trying to take on the charge then to get himself back into the top 10 as well. He was in the top 10 before the pit stop phase. I'm not quite sure what happened to R2B. He's lost about 2.7 seconds as it stands. But they can see his rivals then right ahead of him. Here comes Coop then on the attack then on those medium compound tyres, trying to go around the outside into turn 1, but R2B is having none of it into the long right-hander as well, and he keeps hold of that position just for the time being. Yes, he has got the position as well then for the next left-hander as well then, so he stays P11 for the time being as well then. Good stuff indeed. There we go. Unfortunately, I'm back. So there you go. Good stuff indeed. Right, 5 seconds the gap for the race leaders now, or for the race leader, I should say, there of Kiki. He is checking out in the distance here as well. He's looking good so far. The top, from P2 down to, where is that? Down to P6 then. Still within this fight then for that P2 position then in this race. It is looking good so far. Will there be someone who makes an undercut very soon? Those on the medium compound tyres, the likes of Vessia, the likes of Gora, the likes of Ekbaz, the likes of Jay Hings might come into the pits very shortly then to try and get an undercut on their rivals. Gino's done a good job then of catching up to the pack. Then he's 15 seconds behind, but of course he's on fresher tyres, so hopefully that will be enticing then for the Mercedes driver to get himself back in this race. Yellow flags, just as I say that, it's for KD. I think then KD's had an issue then in sector 2 and lost the Alfa Romeo car coming through into, well, just at the end of sector 2 as well then, so unfortunate for KD then, not sure what happened there. Kamara Racer is being passed by Sirius. Mushroom has it, yes he has, then into P8 goes the Mushroom. And now chasing down Sickers Muck as well, then into that for that P7 position. Then Jay Hings then is 6 seconds ahead then of P7 in the form of the Aston Martin of Sickers Muck currently. But that Ferrari of Sirius Mushroom might have something to say about that very soon and want to get himself into that P7 position, I think, very quickly indeed. As quickly as possible, that is. 3 seconds the gap between R2 Pete then and Sam B Green. I think R2 Pete's had an issue somewhere there because he's lost out 5/10 of a second then on that from that previous lap coming through turns 2 and 3. Coop all over the back of him still as well, and staying within that DRS range fast, trying to catch up now to his rival of Coop then, but into his teammate of R2 Pete as well then on those medium compound tyres. Yellow flags then it's yellow flags for Martin. Martin's had an issue then through turn 3. He's got himself back underway, but unfortunately Martin's costly error then as we got, he's lost an end plate there as well. The left end plate missing then on that Ferrari as well. Then unfortunately for Martin, not having a great time out there at this stage then, but potentially, like we saw with Kydell, potentially a safety car can get himself back in this race. We will wait and see. But we will wait and see because we have got a bit of a lull right here. I think a lot of drivers then saving a bit of ERS, saving a bit of fuel. We did see, of course, earlier on in this stint, then we saw New Zealand Cam's ERS light flashing away. Now it's not flashing at all. Then so he has been saving up some ERS behind Bessia as we go into the hairpin once again. Then so yeah, I think a lot of drivers then in the saving phase then of this Grand Prix as we have reached the halfway stage, I believe. As Farf and Coop then aren't saving anything. Farf is trying to go for the attack, then he's up into P12 ahead of his rival of the Williams car, of Coop that is, and now on the back of his teammate of R2 Beat as well. 3.8 seconds the gap in between the top 10. The gap is actually extending for R2 Beat, so that is bad news indeed for the Haas pair. I would have thought it'd be coming down on those hard compound tyres. Vessia and using Carol switching places then through turn 3. You didn't see what happened there. But we've got yellow flags again. There's yellow flags for Kydell. They're on the main straight there for some reason. Not quite sure what's happened to Kydell. Then he seemed to be losing the car then through the onto the main straight. Maybe losing the car on the exit of the final corner there, but he's got himself back under control. But unfortunately, that is not good news then for Kydell. Hopefully, he got himself sorted and back underway. Martin's in the pit lane. He's going to have to sort out that front wing. I think he's going to go on to a set of hard compound tyres, and potentially he could get to the end of the race from here. Could he? He's going to have to do 29 laps then on those hard compound tyres. I think that might be doable, to be fair. We'll have to wait and see. But so far so good. Then back out the pit lane. Now goes the Ferrari and back underway as we go round the spoon curve. This time New Zealand very close into the back of that McLaren. This time DRS now available then for the AlphaTauri as we go through, go down the back straight, I should say, then up into P2. Then goes the AlphaTauri and ahead now of the McLaren into the hairpin. He's taken the place. He's taken the position. He's back up into P2 then. Good stuff indeed. Both the McLarens waiting in the wings, then Sirius Mushroom and Sickers up, then side by side into the hairpin as well. Round the outside goes the Ferrari. Yellow flags for an Alfa Romeo. It's not Ekbaz, it must be KD again then in the same part of the circuit that he had an incident in as well. Unfortunately then for KD, then he's had another spin then through sector 2 into sector 3. Then here comes Sickers Muck then on the back of the Mushroom. Then Mushroom then defending towards turn 1. He doesn't have to defend too much though because Sickers Muck is not close enough to make a move then into turn 1. He has to stay behind the Ferrari for the time being, that is. But of course, if he stays within the 1 second window, we'll be able to mount an attack then down the back straight. Then if he's within that 1 second, that heavenly 1 second window as well. It's heavenly because you can gather the DRS. Moomin is disconnected, I think, so unfortunately that was his internet done and dusted. Then Farf and R2 Beat then are battling away. Then Farf now ahead of his teammate and up into P11. Then 4 seconds the gap then to the top 10. Farf has also got a 3-second penalty to be added onto his race time at the end of the Grand Prix, which is going to be bad news indeed for him. But there we go then. So unfortunately onto Farf, and that he's got the only penalty then of the grid. He did pick up a 5-second moment of speed in the pit lane. Same for Sirius Mushroom as well, but they have served that then under the well, they came back into the pit pit lane the lap after they pitted, didn't they, to serve their 5-second penalty. So they have served their penalties now as well and got them out of the way then. But Favre's got a 3-second penalty, the only penalty then on the grid so far then for the track limits, I think it was. So unfortunately for Favre, that will be added onto his race tyre then out in front. We've got Vesser then, who is sticking with his rival then of New Zealand Cam. New Zealand Cam stays in P2, comfortable that time on that lap. On this lap, that is lap 30 now, has commenced. As the gap is coming down then to the race leader of Kiki. That is getting a bit worrying over Kiki, I think, because it was over 5 seconds and a serious mushroom is in the pit lane. I thought he had an incident then, but he was in the pit lane. He's called it a day, 16 laps then on the medium compound tyres. Is that as long as they're going to go then? We'll have to wait and see then. Unless there's a strategic call then for the Ferrari driver, we'll have to find out onto a set of hard compounds at the side then. So he's going to be able to go to the end of the race from here. We will find out very shortly. And where will he come out in relation to the field as well then? I think Don of the Dons and Kaido are going to go through then. Mushroom coming out in P15 then. A bit of a fresh air then for the Ferrari, which is good news because he can now try and get himself up to speed very quickly indeed and get himself back in the race. The first driver, I think, to stop then for the final time then to go to the end of the Grand Prix from here as well then. So that is interesting stuff indeed then for Serious Mushroom then. We will see how far he can get then in this race. Then he was in P6 or P7 I think he was, ahead of Sickers, Muck and Kamara racing them, but he has chosen to come in the pit lane then as well then. So good stuff indeed. Kamara and Sandy Green switching places then as into P8 goes the Alpha Tauri then ahead of the Alpine of Kamara. I think might have made a bit of a slight mistake then through the left-handers then into Sector 2. Into the pits comes Moomin's car, but unfortunately Moomin not in the race here. So that is that then. Blimey. So far so good then. It's been a pretty sweaty race then from my point of view at least, because I'm sweaty from wearing an ALR hoodie at the same time as a commentator, and I've got to commentate for another 25 laps as well here, so I'm going to be drenched in sweat then very soon indeed, if I'm not already. Then R2B has got himself back past Favre, but Favre with the switchback is back up into P10 now, of course with Mushroom pitting. Then he's promoted himself into the top 10, and oh my goodness me, I thought there was going to be a crash then because it looked like Favre was going to go, was slowing down then, and he's almost crashed into the pit wall on the outside then as well. Then Don of the Dons has got himself past Kaido, has it? Yes, he has then, into the hairpin. Favre in the box then, he's called it a day on the medium compound tyres as well. Then he's done 18 laps, 17 laps I think then on those medium compound tyres. Don of the Dons carries on then into P12 very shortly. But here comes Kaido there. Can he get himself into P12 ahead of the Red Bull car? Yes, he can. Up into P12 now for Kaido. Good stuff indeed. And back underway then. Mushroom then is catching up to these two here as well. He needs to get past the two of the Red Bull and the Alpine as quickly as possible. And yellow flags then. Yellow flags, what's that for? Is it for, not sure if it was for Favre coming out the pit lane there, but seemed to be some sort of issue as KD has retired in the box as well then, so he is done and dusted in this race as well then. So that is 3 retirements then already then, unfortunately for Hungry Star Wars then. Moving Ninja, who's not in the race, is not in the car, and for KD as well in the pit lane here. So unfortunate stuff there, but that is that then. At least he's in the pit lane, not in the board, then he's safety car and everything like that. Serious Mushroom then has got himself past Don of the Dons already. Then he's on the charge. Then he's Serious Mushroom on the fresh tyres, fresh hard combat tyres. Vesser has got himself past New Zealand Cam, has he as well, into the hairpin. Then New Zealand Cam taking a very tight line there to try and get himself back up into P2, but he has lost out then to the McLaren. Then goes Tomorrow Racer then past Sandy Green for P8. Yes, he is through as well then, so I think Sandy Green then, oh no, there's contact between the two of them as well then. Kamara Racer losing the car then, and he's lost the respect then of Sandy Green, I think, there as well, as he's gone very deep as well, just like Favre then, and Sandy Green has actually overtaken him in the pit lane. And he's got himself up into P8 regardless then, has Sandy Green, with Kamaro's error then into the box as well then. So unfortunately you have to slow down for the pit lane entry if you didn't realise that. But yeah, there you go. Then R2B up into P6 now, trying to soldier on out there. Same for Coop as well. He's carrying on. He's done 19 laps on the medium compound tyres. Actually everybody has, to be fair, who was in the top 10 so far. Mushroom then up into P10 now, ahead of his rivals. And Kaido is now behind the Ferrari as well. And Kaido has done quite a lot of laps more than Serious Mushroom on his hard compound tyres, which is why Sandy Green into the pit on the medium compound tyres then for the Alpha Tauri. Then can he get to the end of the Grand Prix from here? He's going to have to do 25 laps or so, which is quite a tall order. Kamara onto the hard compound tyres, which I think can be more achievable than for those hards to the end of the race here as well. Don't forget to hydrate. Yeah, if you've got me a energy drink sponsor or something, then feel free to to throw that my way. I would need some hydration, I think. Then says Rocket Leader, good stuff indeed. Yeah, you can already tell my voice is starting to die out, but we've still got 25 laps to go, so fingers crossed I can make it to the end. We will find out then. Maybe you'll just see a commentator fall over then on screen. There we go then, doesn't matter. There we go. Countdown all over the back there, Bessie then on to lap 33 of 56 here. Here comes the Alpha Carolyn, and he makes a charge then into turn 1. He's closing, but he's not close enough then into the first turn. Then can he go on the inside of turn 2? Not quite as well then, so Bessie stays ahead then for the time being. Those older tyres though, medium compound tyres then compared to the hards, then I think will be start to be problematic, I think, very soon. 10 seconds back then to P7, then for Sick as Smuck, then R2B 6 seconds behind him as well. Serious Mushroom is 10 seconds behind, but he's back into the top 10 now, is Serious Mushroom, sorry. Technically, he is the leader then of those who can go to the end of the race then after making their stops then. We've got Sam B. Green. I'm not quite sure if he'll make it to the end then on those medium compound tyres. They're going to be a bit of a stretch indeed to get to lap 56 here. Kamara Racer then can get to the end of the race, I think. Same for Farf as well, now on fresh hard compound tyres, and potentially for Don of the Dons as well, who's got onto a set of hard compounds as well. So yeah, I think a few drivers then down the back, or further down the back of the order, currently making their stops. Then that could open up a nice gap then for some of these people, as we got yellow flags then for Don of the Dons coming out of the pit lane there. Could make a nice gap then for some of these people then who have not pitted yet in the top 9, potentially to slot themselves back out in a bit of fresh air as well then, now that the drivers behind have started to make their pit stops as well. New Zealand Cam has made a move then for P2, up into P2 then for the AlphaTauri then, and back underway then for his charge into the podium places. Then Cooper's got himself past R2B then into P8 as well. Then R2B, I'm not quite sure who's got DRS there, but neither of them do it. Right, Ekpaz into the pit then, so Ekpaz calling it a day then, the first driver then from the top 6 to come into the pit lane then under this strategy then. So what can we do next is the question. We've got what we've got 23 laps to go. Ekpaz then into the box, then he's onto a set of hard compound tyres, and away he goes. He will come out, I think, ahead of Mushroom, but behind R2B. Yes, he will. So there he is coming out of the pit lane now into P9, and there is Mushroom in the background then flying down the main straight. Then Sam B. Green sets the fastest lap of the race, and he's into P11 then is Sam B. Green. But of course, there's lots of people to stop ahead of him who will have to stop before the checkered flag does fall. They'll face a puncture, I think, because they're not going to be able to get to the end of the race from here without getting into that puncture territory delivering on those tyres. We'll wait and see. Ekpaz now on the freshest tyres then, the highest up of the freshest tyres, that is. Of course, Serious Mushroom then was the previous race leader technically in terms of pit stop, that is. But he's got himself back into the top 10 then. I think Serious Mushroom's on for a good haul of points here potentially, because there's a lot of stops still to come for those ahead of him. Potentially could get himself into the ranges of the top 5, I believe, then with the undercut here as well. Then he is not too far away potentially for a top 5 position as it stands. Of course, those who do pit later on then will have fresher tyres to the end of the Grand Prix as well. But what tyres will they be? Will they go for mediums? Will they go for hards like Ekpaz has, or will they try and stave it off then for as long as possible and go onto a set of soft compound tyres at the end of this race? We will find out. So we'll have to find out later. So there we go. Right then, here comes R2B then on the back of Coop. Then he can't make the move then into the hairpin. He stays behind once again. Coop now up into P7 then, but I think we might start to see some pit stop action then very shortly. Then Gordo and Vessia in the McLaren staying out. Same for Jay Hings as well. Then Coop then is carrying on like his teammate has done as well. Then on to lap 35 then on those 22 lap old medium compound tyres. Now they're getting very ancient indeed. R2B is trying to chase down that Williams car then into turn 1 and 2 then. The hard compound tyres I think will be very much favourable than the medium compound tyres at this stage. But it's looking like they're still putting up a good fight on those on the medium compound tyres for the time being. And Ekpaz now is right on the back of this battle here as well. Then Ekpaz, of course, needs to get through as quickly as possible then if he wants to get himself a nice undercut then on his McLaren rivals. Oh, there's contact between Equaz and into the hairpin as well. Kamara Race has got himself past his teammate. What's going on there? I thought he was going to drive off the circuit. Then Kydell, sorry, has let his teammate, I think, go through. Of course, Kamara's on much fresher, or 20 lap fresher tyres as well. Then Equaz now all over the back of R2 Then this is where it's going to get really interesting stuff indeed. Then, of course, if you pit early, you get fresher tyres to make an undercut. But if you get held up behind traffic like Equaz has done here, then it could be costly indeed. Then here he comes, they're down the inside, then into sector 3. He's made the move then for P8, then ahead of R2B in the Haas. Then can he get himself past Coupe then in the Williams car as well? He will have a helping of DRS then. He might have made the move before the DRS line even, to be honest, because Equaz now all over the back of the Williams car there with those fresh hard compound tyres compared to those old mediums then for Coupe. Then he is struggling out there, and then DRS is activated for Equaz as we go down towards the hairpin. He's ahead then before the braking zone, and he is into P7 now as well. Then nobody from the top 6 has pitted though under this lap, that is, so they have carried on once again. Then Equaz then is going to be quite thankful of that, I think, as well. Then after being stuck behind the Haas and the Williams car, he's going to be able to use his pace once again on those hard compound tyres to extend the undercut potentially with those drivers then who have not pitted from P6 upwards. So now once again we've got 7 seconds back into the top 6 then for Equaz. Of course, 13 seconds the gap between Sigurd Muck and the top 5, so it's quite a sizable gap then between the two of them. Into the pits comes Coupe, then onto a set of medium compound tyres once again. I think the mediums now can get to the end. He's done 23 laps on those mediums before. He's now got 20 laps to go then on this next stint then, so he's going to come out ahead of Jinner then into P14 and back underway. Good stuff indeed then. So Coupe could get himself back in the top 10. We'll have to wait and see. Then Favre now into P13, but he's on fresh tyres as well. Then Kydell is a bit of a sitting duck then for Favre. I think then he's going to be powering through then with the DRS assistance as well very shortly. We will wait and see. Yellow flags out there for a Williams car. No, it's not. What is it? What's happened? It's Jay Hings. Jay Hings has had an issue somewhere. Then Jay Hings has had an issue on those old tyres. Has he got a puncture potentially then? We don't know. We can't see. Kydell then has got a... It wasn't Aston Martin, it was a Moomin's car going through. There wasn't Aston Martin going through, it was Moomin's ghost car then. So, but I'm not quite sure if Jay Hings had an incident there or if he had a puncture, then he's going to come into the pit. No, he's carrying on then, so he's not a puncture for sure. Or unless it is a puncture. What is going on then for Jay Hings then? He's struggling through the final corner though. He has carried on to lap 37 here, but not quite sure what's going on for Jay Hings then. He's had some sort of issue out there. We didn't see what happened, and it was through the exit of the spoon curve. He stays P5, which is good stuff indeed, but unfortunately has a costly error then has dropped him well out of range then of the top 4. Sammy Green has got himself past R2B. R2B on the old hard compound tyres still going out there, and he's down to P10 now. But I think we'll be looking to make a pit stop very soon as well. We will have to find out what his strategy is then. Kydell's in the pits as well, so Kydell calling it a day then on the old hard compounds. And he is going to go on to a set of medium compounds, I think then. Good stuff to the end of the race from here then. 19 laps remain here, as I think Kydell is going to be resuming his battle very soon with Don of the Dons then coming out the pit lane here. It's going to be very tight between the two of them as Kydell comes out the pit lane now. Martin is going to be in range as well. Then here comes Kydell through turn 1. He's out in between these two. And he has taken P16 then after getting himself out the pit lane on the medium compound tyres, then fresher tyres then for Don of the Dons, who's pitted for the hard compound. Same for Martin, who pitted a few laps before as well, then trying to get themselves back in this race. Vessia then and Vessia and Gorda, they're right on the back of New Zealand Cam. Then what is going on between these strategists then in the McLaren garages as well? Are they going to come in the pit lane? No, they're staying out again then for these three. Is Jay Hings going to call it a day then come in the pit lane? I think he might do. He seems to be struggling out there then on those medium compound tyres, but he is carrying on out there as well, so it seems like they want to extend the stint then, these two. Sammy Green has got himself past Mushroom then into P8 now. Mushroom of course is going to try and fight back then on those hard compound tyres, but looking to keep with Sammy Green, who's on the fresher medium compound tyres and a bit faster tyre at this stage of the race as well. Potentially can fight back later on in this Grand Prix if he can stay within range then of the AlphaTauri then into turn 1. Sammy Green stays ahead now into turn 1. R2B stays out as well then, so R2B is still soldiering on out there on the hard compound tyres. 25 laps, 26 laps at the end of this one on those hard compounds. So good stuff indeed. Like I said, it's getting a bit sweaty out here as well in this commentary box, put it that way, which is literally just a room. It's where I sleep as well. Where the magic happens then in terms of the commentary, that is only that. So there you are then. Onto the main straight then, Kaido can he get himself past the Red Bull of Johnny Dons? Yes, he can. Then up into P15, and now trying to chase down those ahead of him. There's still quite a few drivers ahead of Kaido who are yet to pit. So he could get himself back in the range potentially then to fight then for some more positions as well. Then Equaz has got himself past Sick as Muck. Then there's a ghost car of an Aston Martin there. I think that's Moomin's car just getting lapped here. Unfortunately for Moomin, he's had to leave the session then with the internet issues that he was facing, which is I think fair on everybody else. To be honest, it seems like it's causing more problems then. Vessia then is not coming in the pit lane. Same for Gordo. They're all three of them staying out again then as they've gone on to 26 lap old medium compound tyres here. New Zealand Cam is on the hard compound tyres, so you would have thought he would be all right for the time being then. But those on the medium compound tyres, I think, are going to be starting to get the end of their best life. Jay Higgins then is coming in the pit lane, and he has called it a fine on his 26 lap old medium. And apart from that, is the second driver then to put on the previous top 6 and call it a day then on those medium compound tyres. So what tyre will he go on to next is the question. Lap 39 then, it's soft compounds then for Williams. Interesting stuff indeed, and that is going to be very enticing for Jay Hings. Then he's coming back out then behind Farf, who's on hard compound tyres, but can he get himself back in the fight is the question. Then R2B is soldiering on out there as well. He's on old hard compound tyres as well, and those who have pitted behind him, which is everybody apart from Jinner now, are catching him up very quickly indeed then on their fresher tyres. Potentially R2B is trying to do what Jay Hings has done and hold out for the soft compound to the end of the race then into well, for his next pit stop that is, which will come very shortly indeed. Lap 39 then of 56, then we've got 16 laps remaining at the end of this one. Oh, no, we've got 17 laps remaining at the end of this one actually, mathematically that is, but there we go then. So far so good then. Out in front then we've got Gordo and Vessia then switching places then into down the inside into the hairpin goes Gordo, then ahead now of his teammate, and he's got himself up into the podium places as well here. Does that indicate that McLaren are going to make a strategy call very soon? No, they are not though, because they both carry on. New Zealand Cam passes, so it goes into the pit lane. So New Zealand Cam from the hard compound tyres is pitting before Gordo and Vessia then from the McLaren team are going from the medium compound tyres. So very interesting stuff indeed. What will the AlphaTauri driver choose for his final stint? That is the question. And soft compound tyres as well going on that car. Equaz claims P4 back then from New Zealand Cam. Of course, he's going to be pitting later. Then he's made the undercut work, of course, but New Zealand Cam is again going to be on the fresh soft compound tyres. And there's an Aston Martin. I think it's a ghost car then, just getting out of the way then. So that is not too bad then for New Zealand Cam. He's dropped down to P8. Then he's got Mushroom. He's got Sandy Green. He's got Sick as Muck. He's got Equaz to fight with before he can get back to the McLarens then in this next stint. But at the moment he's approximately, where is he approximately? He's not too far behind, about 20 seconds behind at the moment. So he will be, I think, be able to jump ahead with an undercut as well then on those soft compound tyres. If he can play this lap right, then can he catch up to the queue then at the right time? He's got 1.2 seconds gap then. Jay Hings has got himself past Farf then, of course, on those soft compound tyres. He is flying out. There is the Williams car then. At this stage, he is on a flying lap as well. Then he's gone purple in sector 1. That will be very promising stuff indeed then for the fastest lap of this Grand Prix. Gordo and Vessia then switching places again. Then these two then I think are just giving each other a bit of a tow then down the back straight then with a bit of DRS assistance then and working together at this stage then. But when will they come into the pit lane is the question, or will they at all? But at the moment it seems like, yeah, and Vessia then is in the pit lane. So Vessia has finally called it a day then on the medium compound tyres, almost going to the wall then as well on the outreach then of the pit entry. New Zealand Cam's past Kamara Racer then up into P7 now as well then. So he's past Sirius Russian then up into P7 then and up into right onto the back of his teammate as well. And there's some steamrolling then for the AlphaTauri guys. Not quite, it doesn't look like then. McLaren then of Vessia then trundling down the pit lane here as well then. Sick as Muck I think will have to pit as well, but Sick as Muck is holding it out there for the time being at this stage. And there goes a AlphaTauri on the soft compound tyres. Oh, I thought he was going to go to the inside of two of them at the same corner there, but now around the outside of turn 3, and New Zealand Cam then with a fantastic overtake indeed then on the soft compound tyres up into P4, past the Aston Martin on the outside of turn 3 then with a fantastic move, very clean indeed as well. No contact made then, and fantastic stuff indeed. Here comes Sam B. Green, they're trying to get himself past Sick as Muck as well into sector 2. Then he has made the move around the outside this time and up into P5, then trying to follow his teammate through here into the potential podium places as well. Though it could be, if the AlphaTauris work together, could be potentially a double AlphaTauri podium here. But he has lost out to DRS, and the soft compound tyres of New Zealand Cam then are really kicking on here. 4.6 seconds the gap then to Equaz, who is on the hard compound tyres. He's going to the end on those hard compound tyres as well. He's only done 7 laps so far on this stint, and he will be able to get to the end on this on those hard compounds as well. Then Jinner and Kaidel battling away then into the hairpin of sector 2. Kaidel now ahead of the Mercedes then. We've got 19 lap fresher tyres then for the Alpine driver. Then that's no contest, I don't think. And Kiki from the race lead. We haven't seen Kiki for a long time. He's in the pit lane now. Same for Bordeaux as well then from P2. So I think Equaz might be able to claim the race lead then on track, that is. As those who are pitting then are going on to the soft compound tyres. Kiki on the soft compound. Gordo has got himself into the box now as well. Then the soft compound here as well. Then Cam sets the fastest lap of the race. Then he's going to retake P2 here. Yes, he is. Then he's up into P2. Then he's got himself past. But he's got a Sam B. Green has undercut then onto the podium as well. Fantastic from Sam B. Green. Where is the rest of the field? That is the question. Then Gordo coming out of the pit lane in P7. Then Jay Hing sets the fastest lap of the race into P8 then. Pit stops for Sick as Ruck then. Finally, he's off those hard compound tyres. And he's down to, where is he going to drop down to is the question. I think he's going to drop down to P12 then. R2 Beat then has had a horrible outright then. Not quite sure what's happened to R2 Beat, because he was in the fight then with Coop, but I don't know where he's gone. So yes, interesting. Very odd that. Jimmy was in the pit lane as well, calling a day then on those medium compound tyres then as well. Out in front then, Equaz has got a 2.9 second gap then to New Zealand Can then, who is on the soft compound tyres. Fresh soft compound tyres for Kiki, who is all over the back of Sam B. Green. I think Sam B. Green's run on the podium, or in the podium places, is going to be very short-lived there, with Kiki then on the soft compound tyres looking to mount a charge then as we go into the spoon curve then into sector 3 then down the main straight, and Kiki is ahead before DRS is activated here as well, and he has got DRS to play with as well then to try and get himself further ahead now of the AlphaTauri of Sam B. Green, and he's got that P3 position back again. Here comes Vessi then on the back of Mushroom, then down the inside goes the McLaren, then up into P5, and Mushroom of course on the older hard compound tyres compared to those on the soft compound tyres has not got much of a defence, I don't think there. The undercut is very powerful though. Look at that, it was a status quo between the McLarens, and Vessi of course picking the lap earlier. Mushroom's in the pit lane. I'm not quite sure what's happening with the Mushroom. He's pit lane now as well then, so pretty cool. I think he could have got to the end on those hards, but he decided to stay in the box nonetheless then. Soft compound tyres going on that Ferrari then, but he's going to lose out a lot of positions I think here as well as he comes out of the box now, but he'll lose out then to Sick as Muck, who is coming across the start finish line here, down to P12 then from Mushroom. I'm not quite sure why he decided to pit then, but yeah, we'll have to we'll hear from him after the race, I'm sure. But there we go then. But strategy is everything, of course. You've got to get the strategy right then. Maybe Mushroom knows something I do not, and he probably does, to be fair, because he's in the race and I'm just spectating it and talking about it. Out in front though, we've got New Zealand Cam then has caught up to the DRS range then of the race leader of Equaz. Equaz needs to win, and he needs Gordo to score less. What does he need Gordo to score less than? Oh, my brain's not working. less than 2 points or something, because he needs to outscore Gordo by 18, sorry, to keep the title fight alive. And currently he is not doing that, because of course he is on 25 points and Gordo is on, where is Gordo? Gordo is on 8 points, so that would still put it in, well, it would be very close actually, I think, mathematically. I'm not quite sure. But I'm pretty sure Gordo is still winning the title as it stands. But I have, if someone could do the maths, the maths is, there we go, Equaz has lost the lead actually. Sam B. Green is back in the pit lane, so Sam B. Green doesn't think many compound guys going to the end either, so I'm not too sure the AlphaTauri is in the box too, so maybe Mushroom and Sam B. Green have something that they know about that I do not then. Equaz obviously doesn't know it either, because he's on the hard compound tyres in a sea of soft compound tyres then for the rest of the top 6. Favre's got himself passed up into P8, then Sam B. Green coming out of the pit lane now. Where will he come out in relation to the battle with Serious Mushroom though? He will come out ahead of the Ferrari then onto a fresh set of soft compound tyres though. So that is going to be good stuff indeed. Both Ferrari of Mushroom and the AlphaTauri of Sam B. Green are going to be flying out there on those fresh soft compound tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. 12 laps to go in this race. Yeah, mathematically, I think mathematically Gordo is up into P5 as well. And I think he's got the championship in the bag as it stands. 18 points being scored then for the Alfa Romeo of Equaz. But it's not enough then to extend the title fight then into Silverstone in a week's time here in the 100% League. The penultimate round of the season then is Silverstone in a week's time. And then that'll be that then. So good stuff. But out in front then we've got now a gap then of, we've got Gordo getting himself past Vess here as well here. DRS then for Gordo, he's got himself past his teammate and up into P4 now, cementing his title credentials, it looks like, as well then with that move up into P4. Then of course now the gap between Equaz and Gordo only 6 points in the Alfa Romeo's favour. There's not going to be enough points on the table then for Gordo to carry on the fight then into sorry, not going to carry on the fight then into the final 2 rounds of the season. I just need to double check what rounds we've got left, to be honest. So there we go. Yes, we've got Silverstone next week then, and Brazil then to round it off then, round 15. Of course, a shorter season then for the 100% League compared to the other divisions as well. And so that is why that is the case then. As I've lost the what's the screen here? Hold on 1 second. Goodness, goodness me, this is professional commentary at its finest. But there we are then. Right then, Kiki now all over the back of Equaz. They could make Equaz's day worse here if he can get himself past the Alfa Romeo then into P2. The soft compound tyres, I think, were the call to go on to. The likes of Mushroom and Samby Green now catching up to Coop. Sick as Muck has got himself past Farf and Coop then into P8 as well here in the Aston Martin, and he's on 3-lap old soft compound tyres. Could be catching up to the Kamara Racer very shortly as well. Then here comes Kiki then before the DRS line is past then, past the Alfa Romeo then up into P2. Then here comes is the one overtaking then up into P2 then. Can he catch up then to New Zealand Cam in 3 seconds, just under 3 seconds the gap then to the Alpha Tauri. So far so good then. Kiki now has got the place then, he's got P2. Can Equaz fight back then down the main straight with some DRS to help himself out as well then, and return the favour then on the Aston Martin, on the Mercedes driver. But I think those soft compound tyres are too fast at this stage. Coop and Farf then switching places. Then there's a battle coming up here with Sam B Green then and Mushroom involved as we go into the hairpin then. Oh, and Mushroom was into the back of the Haas as well then as we go through into the final couple of corners then of lap 45 for these drivers, to lap 46 as well. As Farf then going very wide. That is not part of the circuit that you're allowed to go onto as part of the race circuit, that is, as we go down the main straight then, the start finish straight then, as Samby Green then ahead now of Coop then up into P9, takes the position away then from the Williams car then as we go into turns 1 and 2 then. Serious Mushroom has them having to stay back then for the time being. Couldn't get himself past Farf as quickly as Samby Green would like, as has done as well already, I should say, as we go into the hairpin once again. Then Farf now down the inside then of the Ferrari. Then Ferrari takes the position then up into P11 then, and Farf almost into the back of the Ferrari as we go through the hairpin as well there. But Serious Mushroom has got the position done and dusted. He has got that position on Farf, and now looking to chase down Coop as well for that P10 position, that final points pen position as well as it stands. But I think there could be some more points potentially on offer then for Serious Mushroom if he can catch up to the likes of Kamara Racer as well. Potentially those who are on the soft compound tyres further ahead then, who are on older soft compound tyres, might start to drop off towards the end as well. Then we've got a problem then for somebody out there. It is for... I'm not quite sure who it's for then. It's for this person. It's Kydell then, who's had an issue somewhere, and he has lost the right end plate then of the Alpine, which is a big shame indeed for Kydell, because he was doing a good job of getting himself back in this race as well. But he's going to have to come into the pit lane, I think, and sort that out then. Coop has been passed then by Mushroom then down the main straight, has he? Oh, it's down the inside, then goes the Ferrari. Then he's got the position then on Coop, and he's up into P10 now, into the point position now for the Ferrari driver. Good stuff indeed. And Gino has picked up a penalty, then he's battling with Martin there, is he? Yeah, through sector 3. That's not a battling place to go, really, to be honest. Whether you're on fresh soft compound tyres or not, then Martin is going to be likely defending his position into that complex of corners as we go down the main straight this time as well. Now DRS available then for Gino, then he's got the move then on the Ferrari up into P16 then, soldiering on out there as well at this stage. But Martin is doing a good job as well in his defence as well. There's what's going on there? I thought Kamara Racer, no, it's Sick as Muck then almost losing the car, it looks like. I'm not quite sure what is going on there for Sick as Muck then. He seems to be weaving all over the place then, which is going to be very costly indeed for the Aston Martin. Yeah, very odd stuff indeed then for Kamara Racing and for Sickles Muck then. Kydell's retired in the pit lane. He's done for the race then, unfortunately, then for Kydell out of the Grand Prix then. So that is 4 retirements then with the likes of Styles then very early on for Styles. Then lap 12, I think it was, KD as well, retiring in the pit lane. And Moomin Ninja not in this race, unfortunately, after the disconnection then with his internet issues as well. And Gordo has taken that position then into the podium places as well then. So Gordo now on the top step then, oh, not on the top step, I should say, then he's into P3, but he's on the fight, I should say, for the title here as well, and takes the position away from Equaz then to get himself ahead of his championship rival. If he didn't need to finish ahead of his championship rival, but he is going to as it stands, as Sickles Luck, Sam D. Green has got himself past Kamara Racing as well with hard compound tyres. Starting to struggle at this stage then. Serious Mushroom could get himself into contention then for P9 as well. We'll wait and see. But Equaz, I think, on those hard compound tyres is not having a great time out there at this stage. Those who have gone longer than on that medium stint, then even towards the lap 30 mark, then for those medium compound tyres, have switched onto the soft compound tyres, and it is working absolutely brilliantly at this stage of the race, that is, because of course it could change. We'll have to wait and see. There is still 8 laps to go then, and will those soft compound tyres want to do more than 15 laps then on their little lives, whatever you want to call it, on their tyre life? There you go. Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see then how it's going to play out then for those on the soft compound tyres. They might have pitted too early. Potentially they could start to drop off then before the end of the race, and that may mean that Equaz and Kamara Racing might phase back into this race. The same for Coop, the same for Farf, the same for R2B as well. We will wait and see. Here comes Vessia then on the attack, then ERS light flashing away, but he's got the DRS then to make his move then into P4 ahead of the Alfa Romeo. Then Serious Mushroom has got a move then on Kamara Racer up into P9 now for the Ferrari then, and Coop then catching up in the background as well there. Kamara Racer might have some DRS then to keep himself in contention then with the Ferrari of Serious Mushroom. We go down at the back straight here, but so far so good for those on the soft compound tyres. There's only one left in the top 9, then that is Equaz then, who is down to P5 then after getting himself into the race lead then, pitting earlier for the hard compound tyres. It has not worked out then in his favour then in the rest of the stint then so far, that is. Of course it could phase back into his fight potentially, but at the moment I think he's a bit too far back even to go for the race win potentially for P2, because Kiki now has caught up to the back of New Zealand Cam. Look at this, 2 laps tyre difference then in terms of the life tyre, that is, in the favour then of the Mercedes then by 2 laps as well. So that is looking promising then for Kiki, potentially go for a race win here. We will wait and see before the checker flag falls. We will have a decision or an idea, because we hope that they have decided to make the attempt then before then, as we've got yellow flags then for a Haas car coming through turns 2 and 3. Cooper's got himself past Kamara Racer then, and Kamara now off the podium as it stands as well. Then that's bad news for Kamara Racer. Like I said, if the tyres for the drivers ahead start to drop off though, Kamara's in a good spot then with the hard compound tyres. We'll wait and see if he can keep within the fight then. Equaz, I think, is just about, is he within the fight then with some DRS? Yes, he is. He's got DRS still on the McLaren on the Vessia, which is good news for him to pull himself along. Kydell's left the session. Unfortunately, Kydell out of this race then, retiring in the box. And he is done and dusted in the Alpine, unfortunately, then having a difficult race. Got back into it then, to be fair, but unfortunately more errors and more incidents than has cost him his place in the Grand Prix. That seems to be put in the comment section. He seems to be having all sorts of technical difficulties today, which is a very unfortunate for Kaido in the Alpine, but hopefully he can get himself sorted and he'll be back for Silverstone in a week's time, then penultimate race of the season. We're nearly at the finish line here in this race then, and of course of the season itself as well then, and that goes for all divisions in ALR. To be honest, we've only got 4 races left in gold, silver and bronze of the season, I think it is. And of course 2 races left for the 100% league. No, we've got 3. I can't count, sorry. We've got 4 races left for the gold, silver and bronze leagues. We've got 2 races left after this one for the 100% league as well. Then Silverstone and Brazil will wrap up the season then before the bank holiday weekend. so you can enjoy that then. But looking forward to seeing how this race is going to end as well. Then we've got 6 laps remaining then as we start off a lap, already halfway through lap 50, as here comes Kiki then on the charge. Then can Kiki line up a move then for the race lead and potentially the race win as well? DRS available then for Mercedes as he goes to attack. He's got the move then onto, oh my goodness me, and there's a late lunge then from New Zealand Cam, excessively lunging, put it that way, but he almost made the move, I think there, but I think Kiki might have held on to it. No, there's DRS thing going on here, as Kiki then has got behind the AlphaTauri. Trying to get himself back through then on the Mercedes, for the Mercedes I should say, then round at the outside of turn 1 then, and Kiki has got the position up into the race lead, then back up into the race lead for Kiki, and a bit of DRS games going on there for Kiki, that is. But New Zealand Cam with a ambitious, put it that way, lunge, and he almost went into the back of the Mercedes, but thankfully no harm done then. Very, very well calculated indeed, but it didn't pay off, unfortunately. Then Kiki then has got himself into the race lead. Then New Zealand Cam down to P2. Then Gordo 6 seconds behind in P3, and Sickers, Muck and Sandy Green have switched places into turn 2, 3. Faf to come on the penalty, unfortunately for Faf. That is going to be, I think, 6 seconds of penalties then for Faf. Then as we have a look at the penalty situation, 6 for Faf, 3 for Jinnah, and unfortunately the penalties then are not going to be well, they're not going to cost Faf or Jinnah, I don't think, but they're not going to be drivers. Right then, Sandby Green then is all over the back of Sickers Muck. He's just been passed by the Aston Martin, but are looking to bounce back then. New Zealand Cam then is 9/10 away then from the Mercedes of Kiki. Then the race lead, the race win is on the cards. And we've got DRS available then for the AlphaTauri as we go down towards the hairpin once again. Then onto lap 52 we will be very soon, and I think that will be 5 laps remaining here, if I'm not mistaken. 52, 53, 54, 55 and 56. So yes, we will have 5 laps remaining then as we cross the line then to start off lap 52 here. And New Zealand Cam still within DRS range then of the Mercedes of Kiki. Then can he get himself back in contention then for the race win? His tyres, sorry, are 2 laps older than the Mercedes tyres, so that might play a factor towards the end of the race as well. Then we'll have to wait and see. Then Vessia in P4 then is right behind his teammate of Gordo, but maybe doesn't want to make a move just yet then for the title fight I should say then in this one. RTB's got himself past Kamara Racer then into P11. Then he is 1.1 seconds off the top 10 then, with Coop then 15 lap old medium compound tyres in P10, RTB 10 lap old medium compound tyres in P11. And so it could be a bit of a fight then for the final point. Then Kamara Racer is not far off that final point as well then as it stands. Yellow flags. What's going on then for yellow flags? Then it looks like Donald the Gonza's had an issue then somewhere, potentially out there. He's having some sort of problems then for the Red Bull car, but he's got himself back underway then. And there we go. Out in front, the gap now over 1 second then as we go round the sector 3 hairpin is New Zealand Cam out of DRS range then as the Mercedes. Could this be the race win in the bag then for the Mercedes driver? We'll have to wait and see. Is there going to be some DRS activated on the no DRS then for the AlphaTauri of New Zealand Cam as we go down towards the hairpin once again then. Late on the brakes then for the AlphaTauri driver as well then, but he's not going to be within that 1 second window that he so desperately needs to be within. Unfortunately then for New Zealand Cam, I think that could be the race win sorted on this occasion. Then we'll have to wait and see if anything untoward happens. Then driver of the day is in the comment section as you'll get your votes in. Then you've got Gordo, Kiki, Cam and Mushroom are your candidates then for the driver of the day in this one. There is the position changes to see what they've all done. That is your then. Of course, Gordo is crowned the champion as it stands here tonight. Then he would need to he effectively need to DNF and Equaz to finish at least P2 or higher to be able to carry on the championship fight here tonight then, or into next week that is. But it looks like as it stands then Gordo is on track then for a podium place then. And Equaz unfortunately not outscoring him by 18 or more points then, so he will not be able to take the fight then on to Silverstone, the penultimate round of the season here as well then. So it's looking strong for Gordo, looking good then for McLaren as well then. in the Constructors. I'm not quite sure if they can win the Constructors or not, to be fair, but we'll have to wait and see. But so far, so good then. Lap 53 of 56 then, as we get ourselves through the rest of this race then. 3 laps remaining at the end of this one as well then. So far, so good then for McLaren. Like I said, it's been a very strong racing, well, it's been a very strong season for McLaren as well, not just in the 100% league, but it's been very strong in the likes of what's going on here. Yeah, there's not going to be any internet issues that sort of ruin the races there, as Vessia is trying to line up a move then on for an overtake then on Gordo, and he has got the position then P3 then for Vessia. I'm not quite sure if he's read the rule book then, read the terms and conditions, I think, then for Gordo, from Gordo's point of view, I don't think, but there we go then, Vessia up into P3 and Gordo can try and fight back. I think they're on to lap 54 of 56 as we go down towards turn 1. But oh my goodness, there is a lot of lag going on then for Vessia's car, which is bad news indeed for Gordo. He doesn't know where his teammate is really. Well, I don't think he will do, which is not good news. Not where you want to be. You don't want to be behind that car for sure if it's going to be jumping all over the place. But there you go. Right then, so yeah, get your votes in for drive of the day then. We've got 2 and a bit laps remaining now as we start our way into the twilight then of this Chinese Grand Prix. 8 seconds the gap between Vessia now and the top 2. 1.8 seconds the gap between New Zealand Can and Kiki. I think Kiki then has powered away now on those 2-lap fresher soft compound tyres, although they're probably not getting towards their worst, their sell-by date, I suppose you could say, or use-by date. They are probably just a bit better than the AlphaTauris. Of course, they're 2 laps younger than the AlphaTauris as well then, so that is probably what's helped Kiki get himself into the lead now and get a comfortable gap as well out in front then. But here we go then, Gordo is on the charge then. Gordo is looking to be crowned the first champion then of ALR this season, in all divisions that is. Here he comes down the back straight, sorry, then with some DRS then on his teammate. Can he make a move then for that podium place, that final podium place then here in... Oh dear, he's got a 3-second penalty. That is going to be costly indeed then, and I don't think that is going to be good news for Gordo. Well, to be fair, at this stage, it's not going to demote him down any places. Equaz is closest, but he's 4.2 seconds back. Sam Green has got himself past as much then for P7. Up in 2P7 and the AlphaTauri, good stuff indeed. Gordo then with the penalty, like I said, he needs to try and keep that gap over 3 seconds to his rival of Equaz behind him now. 4.2 is the gap between Equaz and Gordo, but at the moment I think he's doing enough to hold on to that P4 position as it stands. Right then, so far so good then. Sipping up his back past Sam B Green then through turns 1 and 2, and I think with some DRS there down the main straight, he's got himself back up into P7 as well then. Good stuff indeed then. Out in front then, the battle then is over 2 seconds now between Kiki and New Zealand Can then. 55 of 56 then. We're on to the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix here. Into the pits comes Far falling today then on the hard compound tyres. Potentially going to go for the fastest lap here, but he needs to make sure he gets himself out before he gets lapped as well then. That's Jinner behind us, not Kiki, which is good news. But yeah, into the pits comes Far then onto a set of soft compound tyres and back out and underway. Coop and R2B then battling away then into the sector 2 hairpinning. R2B trying to go around the outside then of the Williams car. Then he has got the position, he's got the move done. Up into the top 10 now for the Haas, and of course he's on much fresher, well not much fresher, but he's on fresher by 5 laps tyres than his rival then. Gordo's got himself back past his teammate then up into P3, but that 3-second penalty of course is going to be added on to his race time for Gordo, so it's not going to help him at all then, as that penalty then Vessia can pretty much just sit behind him now for this next lap and still get that P3 position then. Kiki then leads us away then onto the final lap of the race here as well here in China. Unfortunately for Favre, I think he might have pitted, unless he's been lapped then potentially, I'm not quite sure. I think Favre has pitted at the wrong lap then, so he's not going to be able to go fastest lap there on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Here comes Sam B Green on the back of Sick as much then, can he make a move into P7? No, not quite. He sits behind the Aston Martin for the time being. So that is that then. Will Vessia then let Gordo create a 3-second gap then to stay on the podium then for his title-winning race then in McLaren? Let's see if that's going to be the case. I don't think Vessia is going to be too keen on doing that sort of thing. RTB's got himself back past Coop. These two battling away then as we go into turns 1 and 2 onto the final lap of the race. into down the inside goes R2 Beat. Then he's got the position. Then of course 15 lap old mediums compared to 20 lap. Oh dear, he's lost the back end though. He's losing the back end constantly. Then is the Haas, and that is allowed Coop back through. And back up into P10. He's got the inside, has R2 Beat, but he's lost out then to the Williams car. Then yellow flag somewhere for the Alfa Romeo. It's an Alfa Romeo of Equaz. Then Equaz has had an issue somewhere. Equaz, I think, has run out of fuel here. Equaz is out of fuel. That is going to be very bad news indeed. Then out in front, Kiki comes around the final corner and to win the Chinese Grand Prix. A fantastic race then for Mercedes and a fantastic win then from Kiki. Once again then on the top step then, and a fantastic Grand Prix from the Mercedes driver. Well done, well played then to Kiki as well. P1, New Zealand can then P2. A fantastic race for him as well. Then great recovery on those soft compound tyres. Vessia then takes P3 away from his championship rival then of Gordo. But Gordo has claimed the title here as Equaz has run out of fuel as well then. And he's trying to get himself to the finish line, but he's going to be swamped, I think, by Sam B. Green and by Sicker's Muck potentially as well. We'll have to wait and see as we cross the line. Then Sam B. Green takes the place. Then Aston Martin loses out. Then I'm not quite sure why Sicker's Muck drove off the circuit. He could have got P7 if he had just kept on going in a straight line. Then I don't think you've realised that Equaz ran out of fuel. Serious Mushroom P9, then R2 Beat looks like he's going to claim that final points pair position. Yes, he is. Then Kamara Racer picks up a 3-second penalty then for his troubles on the last corner as well. Then, oh blimey, great stuff indeed. Then, and look at that. Then Gordo is your champion. Then Gordo has claimed the title here in China. We'll have a look at the McLaren driver as we go through to finish off the Chinese Grand Prix. But this is your champion then for the 100% League Season 2 season as well. Then fantastic stuff indeed from Gordo. Then he has claimed the title then with 2 races to go. And he is the champion then, the first champion of the season as well. Then great stuff indeed then from Gordo. Then what a victory and what a win then for the McLaren driver as well then. And great stuff indeed then. And Gordo, you are the champion then, it says ALR Esports in the comment section. Congratulations then to Gordo as well. There is your podium sitters then. But we will hopefully get an interview then with the top 3 and for the champion of Gordo as well then. We will need to give him a quick interview for sure. But fantastic race in the end then. Gordo has got it. Yeah, Gordo has got the championship. So well done to Gordo. There is your podium sitters. Then that is Kiki on the top step. Then New Zealand Cam then in P2 in the AlphaTauri then, and the McLaren of Vessia then in P3. And what a victory then for Gordo. What a race then from Kiki from New Zealand Cam and from Vessia as well. Then unfortunately that 3-second penalty costing Gordo the podium place as well. But fair play indeed to him as well to get to the checkered flag. Kiki then P1, then New Zealand Cam P2, Vessia P3. Gordo in P4, Jay Hings in P5, Sam B. Green P6, Equaz P7, Sicker's Muck P8, then Serious Mushroom in P9, R2 Beat in P10, then Coop in P11, Kamara Racer in P12, then Farf in P13, Don on the Dons P14, Jinner in P15, Martin P16, Moomin Ninja unfortunately was not in this race after disconnecting, Kaidel out of the race in the pit lane, same for KD, and Hungry Styles then had an issue then very early on in this race. I'm just going to add Gordo to the party because I don't believe he's been added, and we will need to get him an interview for sure. So Gordo, then there is your invitation. And we'll wait for everyone to join into the party chat. But there we go. Then that is your classification then for the Chinese Grand Prix. We've done Japan already. We don't need to worry about that. But fantastic stuff indeed. What a race indeed that was as well. So fantastic indeed from all the drivers then taking part. Then we will get ourselves hopefully underway for the interviews very soon. Yes, we will. I'll get rid of the 2 webcams as well. That's horrible. But yeah, there we go then. Great stuff indeed then. And we've got a driver of the day, Paul. There's Gordo's got the driver of the day then after claiming the title here as well in China. What a victory for McLaren as well then, I think, as both of them have got great results this season. Hopefully Gordo can join us in the commentary box. Then we'll get an interview with him as well then. But we'll have to wait and see before he gets himself in gear. Yeah, I think he has joined us as well. Gordo, can you hear us?
I can, yeah.
Oh, yes, you can. Good stuff indeed. That's fantastic. Gordo, then, you are, you have been crowned. I don't know if you were aware of it at all, but you've been crowned the champion of 100% League tonight. With that P4, then, unfortunately, with Equaz, then, he lost, we ran out of fuel then on the last lap or so, but you have been crowned the champion then. What is your thoughts then of being the champion then of the 100% League Season 2?
Yeah, great. No, happy with it, definitely. I mean, did not expect it before the season. So, yeah, it's certainly a unexpected surprise, and I'm happy with it.
And did you think when you went into the season that you were going to have this, have the opportunity to fight for the title, or did you think you were just going to be battling for points here and there?
No, definitely didn't expect to be up there for the title. I was kind of expecting probably where I am with silver now, about 8th or 9th maybe. So, yeah, it's very unexpected.
Well, congratulations nonetheless then, and you have got yourself a nice trophy on the way and a nice hoodie as well to come with it. So yeah, give me your
Lovely.
give me your shop order and I'll get it sorted for you. So well done indeed, and well deserved this season as well. You've got 2 races to go. Then you're going to take it easy for the next 2 races, or what are you going to do for the next 2?
I'll probably just try and have fun with them. I'll maybe start for the back. To be fair, with my qualifying, I just about do that most weeks anyway. But yeah.
Fair play. Well, congratulations once again then. Gordo is your champion then for the 100% League this season. The first champion then of ALR in this whole season as well, then for all the divisions as well. So congratulations then to Gordo in the McLaren. Very well done indeed, and well done this race as well then. But if you had one thing to sum up your season, what would it be? Do you have something that you can say to all the drivers then that they need to do for all their races, or is there something that you just do differently to everybody else that has won you this title?
Consistency, probably.
Sounds about right. That's pretty good. No, I think to be fair, you've been one of the most consistent in all divisions as well this season. So that pretty much works out in your favour, I think, as well. So congratulations then to Gordon. Then he is crowned the champion here tonight. Well done indeed. We've got our race winner then, I think, of Kiki in the Mercedes. And Kiki, then you got your race win here in China, another race win under your belt, and you stormed off in the distance in the end of that stint, and you looked like you had it very comfortable in the end, but you had quite a few battles then with New Zealand Cam, who finished P2 in the end, and of course the McLaren pair as well in the earlier stages. Did you think the race win was on the cards as well?
Yeah, once I started pulling away from New Zealand Cam in the first stint, I think I had like 2 or 3 seconds gap, and then the safety car came out, and obviously we both went on the hards, and I pulled out like, I can't remember how long it was. I can't remember how big the gap was, like 5 seconds in the hards, and obviously we both pitted for the softs. And obviously he came out in front of me by about 4 seconds, I think. And I knew I was going to catch him because obviously my tyres were a bit newer, like 2 laps newer, I think. Then obviously I caught him at the end, but then I had the sound glitch again, so it was doing me head in.
I think a few people had that, it sounded like, from the comment section anyway. So yeah, bit of a shame that. Maybe it'll be Farf's lobby that's the problem. Usually is, but nonetheless, you've got yourself another race win under your belt, and you must be pretty proud with that one.
Yeah, obviously a win's a win, innit? Obviously Gordo got lucky with the championship, adding the start from this, obviously the first race, so nah, I'm joking. GG to Gordo.
And you've got 2 races still to go, potentially, I think, as well as the championship being wrapped up, though. I think potentially you could wrap yourself up into a top 3 position if you carry on this way for sure. Do you think you could get yourself into the top 3 of the standings?
I think I'll be in the top 3 now, I think, won't I? Obviously, there was only 12 points.
I've done enough maths trying to work out if Gordo's won the title tonight, to be fair, mate. So, but yeah, we'll see. But nonetheless, we'll probably see you in the top 3 once again then. But yeah, congratulations to yourself as well.
And GG to the podium as well. So.
No, fair play. Well done indeed then, and hopefully we'll see you back then in the next race or 2.
Always.
New Zealand Cam, I don't know if you're with us, but you've got yourself a P2 here tonight, and blimey, you were fighting tooth and nail with the Mercedes and the McLarens, just like Kiki was as well. Well, the McLarens and the AlphaTauris in his case, but you were fighting tooth and nail then with the Mercedes, especially towards that last stint then in the first part of the soft stint there. Did you think the race win was on the cards, or did you have an issue with the differences in the vehicles, I suppose you could say? You thought maybe it was going to be in your favour?
That Merc's a rocket. There wasn't much I could do, to be honest. I mean, I tried to stick with him, but as soon as he broke the DRS, it was game over. When I saw the gap, even when it was like 4 seconds after the undercut, it was kind of like, you never know. I was never confident, let's say that.
But you still fought brilliantly. You had the race lead for the early part of the race as well in the first stint or 2, and it looked like you were quite comfortable. Did you have to start saving fuel in the ERS at some stages?
No, my fuel in the ERS was okay. I don't know, in the first stint, the reason I initially lost the lead, I had an almighty tank slapper, and I was in the gravel at one point. I kind of glad I kept it out of the wall, but that's what cost me the initial lead. And then once I lost that, I never really got it back again in regards to being on the front foot.
But you still got yourself a very handy P2 then to propel yourself up the order as well then in the standings. So congratulations to yourself then. Do you think you can fight on for some more podiums then in the last 2 races of the season?
What are the tracks?
Silverstone and Brazil.
Brazil will be good. I remember winning silver last season at Brazil. Silverstone's a hit or miss. I'm not confident or not confident, if that makes sense. It's one of those where I don't really know where I'll be, but I'll definitely push for it. The pace is there, so we'll see.
Good stuff indeed, and congratulations to New Zealand Camden P2 here tonight in the AlphaTauri. We've got one more to interview. We've had 4 in the box today, which is well, that's more than 3 as a crowd, isn't it? I don't know what it is. 4 is or something. But I probably don't want to say that word, but there we go. Vessia in P3 here tonight then. You claimed another podium. I don't know if he's here. Vessia in P3. You claimed another podium then from McLaren then, fighting off your teammate in the end, who had a penalty in the end of that race. But nonetheless, it didn't matter to his title fight for P3 or P4 in the end, so you could take that podium for yourself, and you did. A fantastic race from yourself. Were you working together with Gordo for that Grand Prix to try and keep him within range then of the podium places? Or were you just thinking about your own race in that one?
I was in a party with Cam, so I was working with Cam in the middle stint, and then when I pit for the final stint, I was like 6 seconds off, which was a bit confusing. Only pitting one lap
I think you got your
later.
mic on backwards because you're very quiet. But I think you said you were working with Cam actually in that race, so that's interesting. But you both got yourself a podium in the end, I suppose, so it did work out in the end. Do you think you've got more podiums in your repertoire then for the last 2 races as well, Silverstone and Brazil?
Hope so. I've had the pace to be on the podium in the last couple of races. It's just been me getting a 3-second pen, and then right at the end it'll be a safety car. So, like, R2B and Serious Mushroom would just rack up a lot of positions, and I'd lose some key points because of the 3-second penalties. So
good stuff indeed. We can't really hear you unfortunately, but congratulations to your strategy and to your podium place as well, P3 in the McLaren here tonight then. That'll do it for the interviews. I don't want to interview any more people now. I've run out of energy, but fantastic stuff indeed then from both the podium sitters then of Kiki then P1, New Zealand Cam P2 and Vessia P3, and of course to our Gordo, to our champion I should say, to our champion Gordo in the McLaren as well, who has wrapped up the title then in the drivers then for McLaren as well. Great stuff indeed. We will of course have more action coming up for you. Then we've got of course the 100% League will be back in a week's time. Then that will be on in Silverstone in a week's time. But of course before then we've got the Chinese Grand Prix for gold, silver and bronze starting Sunday, then on to Monday for silver, and then on to Tuesday as well for bronze as well. So stay tuned for that. There is plenty more action coming up, and we'll see you very soon.